We back. We're not officially back, man. The show will start after we get through this countdown and get through our intros.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
yes,
look,
sir.
for everybody that's complaining about our intros and how long they are, just have it on the screen. Go, take a bathroom break, whatever you got to do. You know what I mean? Handle your business. Come back. You know what I mean? If you don't want to stay tuned, it's all good, man.
And man, we've said this before, but I've been on shows where they got like a 5-minute countdown, then an intro, and then a StreamYard countdown.
Nah, you ain't lying about that. But it's just, I don't know what it is. It's because they just see the intro. Yeah. They don't come, like when it's separated, they don't even think about it. They don't think that, a countdown is 5 minutes plus the intro. But in reality, we don't really have a countdown for the most part. If y'all watch 50/50 show, we don't have a countdown. We go straight into the intros. But that being said, don't forget to clock in, like the thumbs, man. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
One of them hits now. Heard back from Earth They just shot a few of my shits down. It's safe to say I'm totally pissed. Wow. My cloaking devices just malfunction. Guess it's time for a sit down. This is the problem I got with humans, mostly the common man. Constantly fucking with energy they don't understand. Always thinking they got the upper hand. The G-forces from my maneuvers can snap your spine like a rubber band. I shouldn't waste my time, they ain't half as nice. Put a Red Bull in your coffin so your ghost can have wings in the afterlife. Let's rock and roll like a belly dancer's rhinestone. It was my idea to shake the pineal gland like a pine cone. My thoughts create hurricanes, tornadoes, and cyclones. A punch for me is like an avalanche of granite and limestone. You live here, but now this is my home. I neuralize both your retinas, you wake up staring at the screen of your iPhone. Confused by the light plus the high tone. And now we connected from the microchip I placed next to your thigh bone. It's hard to understand cause your mind blown, but I gotta cut communication. Your government just scrambled they spy drones.
That voice speaking Sumerian, the oldest language in human history. I can't explain it.
What's going on? What's going on? We back. We are back. We are back for another edition of Around the Shield, man. Hey, it's two-man crew this week again. Mike will be back soon. But, hey, we still got a lot to talk about. We got, man, obviously it's a bye week for the Raiders. Yeah. Hey, at least we don't got to pick the Raiders to lose this week.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? At least we ain't got to pick them to lose this week, man. The way it's been going, obviously they lost, like, what has it been 5 straight going into the bye week. So, hey, at least they ain't losing this week, if we being honest, man.
I mean, we hired Norv Turner, so didn't we already lose?
Hey, it might be a game changer. You know what I mean? It might. You never know. But look, yeah, we'll get into that conversation. If y'all haven't already, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We appreciate everybody coming through. You guys are gonna be seeing this on all of our channels. So if you haven't subscribed to all channels, make sure to do so and hit that like button, man. We appreciate the support. It's real helpful, so we can keep coming back and doing this. Man, we got a lot to talk about. We see everybody pulling up. We'll be in the chat. But that being said, Severe, we're going into the bye week, man.
Yes.
We're going into a bye week. Raiders, obviously, I think strategic in AP's. I think AP kind of like. I would think that AP was thinking about this before he made the call to get rid of this certain coaches on the offense and coaching staff. Getsy, obviously James Craig, and then I think Rich Scangarello, I believe, was also let go as well. So I think it was strategic right before the bye week. He's seen enough. Is Norv Turner going to be enough? We'll get into that in a little bit, man. But it's mid-season, technically. I think where were we at? Raiders are it's 17-game season. They're 2-7.
Weeks, so about it's mid-ish.
Yeah.
You know?
So season up into this point, man. What do you think of the season so far?
Yeah, man, it's been a major disappointment. It's been a huge disappointment.
Yeah,
and the disappointment started before the season even began, right? I think that the first big kind of blow to the Raiders, and I think we talked about it, but we thought maybe we can overcome it. Yeah, I think that first big blow was Malcolm Kuntz going down. I think that because we already kind of saw in the preseason, right? In the preseason, we weren't really getting a lot of pass rush. Not like we were having some issues generating pressure. I think we talked about Tyree, how he was out there struggling against second and third stringers, and we speculated, do the Raiders need to bring in a pass rusher? And I think at that point in time, that was before it was announced that Kuntz's season was over. I think most people thought he would be back. And if you look at what happened last year. Basically at the end of the year, 2 things happened for us to turn the season around. And that was, our defense started playing like one of the better units in the league. And I think that was in large part because Malcolm Kuntz turned into a top 10 pass rusher, based on statistics and advanced metrics, right? And then down that same stretch of time, we started running the ball a lot better. First, it started with Josh Jacobs. He had a little bit of resurgence in the run game. And then Zamir White to finish the year, he led the league in rushing, led the league in yards per carry over that span. So I think we were coming into this season expecting, hey, you know what, we'll be able to run the ball and play defense. And we haven't been able to do either. We haven't been able to do either. And I think that kind of tells you what our season is in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much struggled at different. We've been struggling overall. It's a team game at the end of the day. I think the defense has struggled at times. I felt like the defense to start, I didn't think it was as dominant as we thought it was going to be. I mean, they've played well at times. I mean, to begin the season, they've just played one half of football. I felt like, you know what? And then we probably were kind of looking at the offense and how they were performing. We were like, you know, maybe the offense is really like gassing out the defense. But at the end of the day, like, look, if you're going to be a top 5 defense, you're going to be top 3 defense, then you have to go out there and prove that. You have to show that you're going to have to dominate a game in a way where it gives you a great chance of winning the games. And some of the games that we played, it felt like the defense was actually giving up big plays in the second half. If you guys remember that first game, the Chargers, we were at that game where we seen J.K. Dobbins run all over the Raiders defense, especially in the second half. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Malcolm Kuntz was probably the biggest. Don't say it ain't so. Like, you know, when you hear that news in the beginning of the season where, you know, outside of Max Crosby, he was the guy that was gonna. It just made our defense or D-line special. Was the fact that we had a Kuntz to go along with Christian Wilkins, and then it gave teams, you know, a lot to think about. But you know, it is what it is. To me, I thought the biggest disappointment was not the quarterbacks. I think for me, you know, I talked about the defense a little bit. I think, but just not having a run game this year.
Yeah,
not having a run game really just, I think, made it really tough on the offense and put a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks to make plays. Offensive line, obviously not playing well early on. James Craig, one of the guys that got fired, offensive line coach. Yeah. So yeah, to me, you know, going into the season, I was like, hey, the big X factor this season was Zamir White.
Yeah. Because
I felt like if he plays well, I felt like the offense could at least be respectable, could be pretty solid. It could complement the defense, but he didn't play well. The offense in general, as far as running the football, didn't play well. The offensive line didn't play well. Obviously, in the quarterbacks, we all knew that they weren't good enough to carry the team. We just felt like, hey, as long as you didn't make any mistakes, we'll just deal with everything else. But that wasn't the case, and then the rest is history. I felt like we struggled to score. Same things that happened last year were happening this year. You know, turning the ball over. I think the Raiders they lead the NFL in point differential, but I think
turnover differential.
Is it turnover to takeaway differential? I believe.
Yeah, your turnover differential probably. Yeah,
I think the Raiders lead the NFL in turnovers. I believe the Raiders lead the NFL in turnovers, which is if you're any team that leads that stat, most likely you're going to be losing a lot of games. You're going to be losing a lot of games. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, that's how the season's gone so far. I mean, I felt like the defense was a disappointment. The offense didn't get any better. We thought there was going to be maybe at least an improvement from last year. We're like, oh, there's no way it can get worse. Yeah, it didn't get worse, but it just stayed the same.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, I mean, did it? I mean, low key it got.
Well, look, Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is like
Brock Bowers is
week in, week out. Like he's
special, man. He's special. But that's been like literally the only bright spot. And then to piggyback off what you talked about before, it's, you know, not only are we leading the league in turnovers, but I'm pretty sure we're dead last in turnovers forced. So that which means we're dead last in turnover differential, which is part of the reason why we're losing all of these games. And I think, you know, the biggest culprit has been our offensive line. If you look at the source of our struggles, it's been just offensive line, right? Like, even if you weren't a Zamir White fan, like you didn't think he was this bad. Even if you weren't an Alexander Madison fan, you didn't think he was this bad, right? And so for us to be so for both guys to be this bad, that points to something deeper than just lack of talent. And I think that points to either scheme deficiencies and offensive line play being pretty poor. And the fact that and that's put a lot of pressure on our quarterbacks, and pressure that, like we said in like as you already stated, like we weren't going to beat teams like throwing the ball all over the yard. Like Antonio Pierce knew that, like he's said that before. I think even Luke Getsy has said it before, right? Like everybody was singing from the same sheet of music. They were all saying we're going to be a run first team. Even the tight ends coach was saying, you know what, like for our tight ends, if you want to get on the field, you better be run blocking. And even earlier in the year, right, Harrison Bryant, Michael Mayer, and Brock Bowers, they were all struggling in the run blocking game. They were missing assignments, missing assignments that could have led to big runs. And then offensive line just not getting to not understanding their responsibilities in the zone scheme, not getting to the second level. That's costing us big runs. And then the back, sometimes they're missing the cutback lanes. As they materialize, where there were big runs there, and instead of hitting the cutback lane, they take that primary lane and they get stopped for a loss, or maybe get a yard or two. So it's been just at every level, in every aspect of the offense, especially in the run game, we've struggled. And that a lot of that is player execution, but at the end of the day, coaches are here to coach. You're supposed to get the execution out of the players. That's part of your job. And we just haven't had the guys that have been willing to do that, or able to do that, not willing.
Yeah, and just to go back to that turnovers, the Raiders do lead the NFL in turnovers with 19 giveaways.
Nasty.
So obviously that turnover differential, like pretty much the Raiders are giving the ball away more than they're getting takeaways. So at the end of the day, I think, and as far as takeaways, they're pretty much,
if they're not last, they're close to dead last.
They're 30th. They're 30th in the NFL.
Who's behind us? Carolina, maybe.
And the thing is too, with being 30th, they're tied with the Browns and the Jaguars with 5. So they have five takeaways this entire season so far. And at midway through the season, at what is it? You said week 10 now, week 10, so it's been 9 games going into the 10th game against the Dolphins after this bye week. So it's not, like I said, if look, the Jaguars not having a good season, the Browns are not having a good season. So like these are not good stats to lead at the end of the day, and it is what it is. But I mentioned Brock Bowers.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and just take a look at the draft class. Let's just take a look, man. Just getting a quick little glance at so far what it's been. Again, I'll put something on the screen here for us to take a look at here. So, as you can see, the 2024 draft picks, obviously Brock Bowers is picking the first. In the second, JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson, DJ Glaze. In the third, Cameron Richardson. In the fourth, Tommy Eichenberg, Dylan Lobby, Trey Taylor, MJ Devonshire. I think is he even on the practice squad, or did the Raiders ever bring him back, Devonshire?
Yeah, he's on the practice squad.
He's on the practice squad. Okay, they were able to bring him back because I know he was a cut initially out of training camp. So, Trey Taylor, I think he's back from injury. I know he was on the PUP list, I believe, to start the season or something like that, something to that effect. So I think Trey Taylor might be back. So, look.
He was on IR.
He was on IR to start the season? Okay.
He was on IR.
Right. Got it. Okay. So, look. First 3 rounds look pretty good to me. I mean, usually you want to wait like 3 years to get like a final, to me, in my opinion, like 3 years solid, like to really judge like a draft.
Yeah.
3 years. But like so far, our first 3 rounds, and I'm not gonna lie, the Cameron Richardson had some good reps.
4 round. He looked good out there. I liked what I saw.
Tommy Eichenberg remains to be seen. Dylan Lobby. These are two guys that should be getting a lot of playing time for the rest of the season.
In my opinion. Tommy Eichenberg. Dylan Lobby should.
Let him play, bro. Just let him play. We got to figure out.
They're not Gaither. Gaynor and Bernie, bro. I'm putting that. I'm not.
Well, you know what? I'm not mad at that either. Undrafted guys. But then look, you drafted a guy in the 5th round. It's technically speaking, does it make sense not to play Eichenberg? Like, let him play and see if he's working.
It doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you. But Dylan Lobby should play. I understand. Like, he fumbled in the preseason and he fumbled his first snap in the NFL, I think, or at least first carry.
Fumbles.
Yeah, first carry. I think that was his first carry in the NFL. Yeah.
Each time, his first carry in preseason, he fumbled.
Yeah.
First carry in the NFL, he fumbled.
But you know what? Hey, man, maybe he needs to get he's only going to get better if he gets experience. So let him get an opportunity. If he doesn't play well, we already know. We kind of know that running back should be an area of improvement in the offseason. But if Dylan Lobby balls out the next 7 games that are left, you know what I mean? I think we're at 7 more games, right? Damn, the season's going off fast.
Yep, 8. We're 2-7.
No, eight games, right? We got 8 games, so 17 games season, 8 games left. If Dylan Lobby balls out, then we still need to add more talent to that running back room. But then Dylan Lobby could be a guy that could be part of that room.
Exactly.
So be a factor, I should say. So I think we should continue to play the young players. Trey Taylor should get a chance. I want to see him out there. Is there a guy?
We don't need to see Devonshire.
We don't need to see Devonshire. Jacorian Bennett's been balling out, by the way. Because
man, let him marinate. Let MJ Devonshire marinate in the practice squad.
Yeah, no facts. Yeah, I mean, because I ain't gonna lie, man. Hey, Jacorian Bennett has been balling out. The dude. And the reason why I'm bringing him up, man, because like I don't want to take any snaps away from him. I just want to see him to continue to get better and play against like the top competition and get better because he might be the number 1 corner for the Raiders moving forward. Like we thought it might have been Jack Jones possibly because obviously the way he just came on the scene last year, forcing plays, but maybe Jack Jones is the guy that that's that number 2 corner who doesn't have to. Because Jack Jones seems a little bit, he's more of a ball hawk, super aggressive. Teams probably want to target him a lot more because because of his aggressiveness.
Yeah.
But Jacorian Bennett, man, the way he was able to match up with Jamar Chase and Jamar Chase this past game,
crazy.
Bro. 11 catches, I think almost 300 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns, like crazy. Yeah. Crazy. I don't know if anybody has him on fantasy. Y'all just had probably the best game of the year from a fantasy perspective, man, because dude was balling.
Yeah, game just went off. He damn near had the game, tying touchdown. But yeah, man, like I think our first 3 rounds, I think those were like great rounds. And 2 of those guys, initially I wasn't big fans of their picks. Brock Bowers, I wasn't a fan of the pick. Like I said, I think I still had him classified as my 3rd highest pass catcher behind Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. But I wasn't a fan of the selection. And then DJ Glaze, I really wasn't a fan of him as a prospect. But like those, if you look at just total what they've done and what they've contributed, they might be our 2 like best picks, even though Jackson Powers Johnson is been playing well and he just had a heck of a game at center, but he's missed games, right? Like DJ Glaze has been there basically dang near the entire year, and Brock Bowers has been our best offensive weapon the entire year, even when Devontae was here. So I just think those first 3 picks that's foundational drafting right there. Yeah, that's foundational drafting, and if we had made these type of picks before. So like you think about what's hurting us now, right? Like part of it is injuries. Have so many guys going down. Like we just signed Christian Wilkins, he goes down. Malcolm Kuntz goes down. Like all these guys are hurt, but we don't have depth behind them. And part of the reason why we don't have depth behind them is because we've drafted so poorly. So imagine instead of drafting a guy like Tyree Wilson, we draft Jalen Carter, right? Like that's like that's another piece that's already there that we don't have to worry about, right? Instead of
Yeah.
drafting Damon Arnett, we draft a different corner. We draft what's the guy for the Bears? We draft Jalen Johnson, right? Like we don't need a Jack Jones. We have JB and we have Jalen Johnson. So I just think that our poor drafting is finally starting to catch up with us. But this is one of those drafts. Like I know you talk about it all the time, you and I. But it was that what was that? That the 2013 draft? The 2013 draft was that the Khalil Mack, Derek Carr?
2014.
2014. So what was it? 2014? Okay, the 2014, the Khalil Mack, Derek Carr, Gabe Jackson. Shout out to Jelly Ellis too, right? Like
TJ Carey.
TJ Carey. Even though like he wasn't with us for long.
No, but he was a solid player. He was a solid player for the Raiders, and he's had a solid NFL career. And then also
for the Browns, right?
With Latavius Murray, did he come out that draft? No, I don't know.
I don't remember.
He might have came.
I think he did because Latavius Murray, he had a big game. Because he had the big game that year when
he was a 6th round pick.
We went 0-10. We went 0-10, right? 0-10. Then we beat the Chiefs.
Yep.
And I think Murray had a big game in that game. So yeah, I think he was that draft class.
Okay, so he was a 6th round pick in that draft then. Okay. Yep.
So that's a foundational draft. And this draft, I think that could be the same outside of Tommy Eichenberg. But I think everybody else can be I think everybody else is going to end up being a contributor at some point, right? I'm not expecting too much. I'm not expecting too much out of MJ Devonshire, 7th round pick. Even out of Trey Taylor, I'm not expecting a whole lot. He's a 7th round pick as well, even though he was, he won the award for best DB in college. But Dylan Labe, I think he's a guy that
he's related to.
I know, right? He's related to Ed Reed.
Ed Reed probably just met him one time and said, "What's up?"
Ed Reed cousin on.
He gave him like one of the day.
I remember we did have that joke. He's his cousin through marriage. He was like,
yeah.
Man, we was talking about that.
But if he could be anything, if he could be anything instinctual as Ed Reed was a football player, man.
Yeah.
Man, I'd be happy, bro.
I'll be happy as heck. And even like say, I trash Tommy Eichenberg. I hope he can be at least a solid depth piece at linebacker. I think Dylan Labe. I think these early season struggles. I think he'll put those behind him. I think some people were putting too much on him, saying he's gonna be like the next Christian McCaffrey and stuff like that. Like, pump your brakes on that. But I do think he's gonna be. I do think he's gonna be a contributor. I do think he can be a guy that eventually he can be our third down back. And I think we really. And the issue is that it's probably why he's gone. We haven't seen him catch anything out of the backfield. We keep trying to hand him the ball. But one of his major strengths in college was as a pass catcher. He would line up he had a game where he dang near went for 300 yards receiving as a running back. So I think we haven't utilized that tool well, and which is ironic because one of the things I was worried about with Brock Bowers is that Luke Getsy wouldn't utilize him well. But Luke Getsy has utilized him in just the ways you should be utilizing him most of the time. You get him in space.
First, protect the football. Let him protect the football. But I agree. You got to put the players in the best position to win. And obviously he's a guy that one of his strengths was catching the ball at the backfield. I'm wondering though, what I'm hearing is they possibly might change. They fired James Craig. Yeah. So are they going to lean more heavy on more of a power gap running scheme now? Like maybe throw that a lot more in there. I know at this point they can't really change up too much in their offense, but are they going to be running more power runs, especially because now one of the things that AP's been saying that we need to get Zamir going.
Yeah.
And Raiders offense, Madison, even though he's played better than Zamir so far this season as far as like how he's looked in that zone scheme, that's his pretty much he has experience playing in that system, so obviously he's going to play a little better. But he has played better just overall, but AP's trying to he's trying to coach for his job. If we're being honest, like he's gonna try every way to get this team to play better. And they're going to go into the bye week to make some adjustments. They fired the offensive coaching staff, literally almost. They're bringing in Norv Turner, and then obviously Scott Turner is the OC. He's gonna be calling the plays. He's gonna be the guy that's gonna be called. Is gonna be that was already on staff. Norv Turner is gonna be there to obviously mentor his son, which I thought he did already.
Exactly right.
You know what I mean? I thought that's your father. You know what I mean? But hey, look, he's gonna be there to give him like a voice of reason. I'm sure, like to give him some insight on maybe opening up the offense a little bit. But we'll see, man. I just like look with the draft. I don't think the draft is as good as the 2014. I don't think it's as good as the 2014. I felt like we had like bro.
Yeah,
you know how many starters? You know how many starters we got out of there? Look. Like, look. All right, we got Murray became a starter. Derek Carr, Khalil Mack, Gabe Jackson. That's 4. Ellis.
Justin Ellis.
Justin Ellis. I think he was a starter at D tackle. That's 5.
I think he started for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 5.
Yeah, but
who am I? I'm forgetting somebody. I might be forgetting somebody.
But I think part of that. So I think that it's going to be hard to do better than that draft, just because I think a lot more of those guys were getting consistent run, and I think that was a situation where, like, we kind of knew that first year was a flush year, right? That was Dennis Allen's. That was Dennis Allen's second year. Was it his second year? Dennis Allen's second year, correct? Because he got. I think did he end up getting fired that year?
He got fired 4 games into the season. Yeah, the 2014
yeah. So I think that was his second or his third. So, but like, I don't think we were.
It was his third. It might have been his third year, and then obviously he got fired 4 games into the season.
Okay, so yeah, so and I don't mean the second we started Derek Carr, I think we kind of knew I don't know how intent they were on winning. And I think maybe Dennis Allen was trying to win, but I think at that point, when you're starting all these rookies, I think it's a situation where we kind of knew the writing was on the wall, and that's what I wish we would take that route with this team. Just let all these guys start Brock, start Jackson, Jackson already starting, Delmar starting, DCam maybe not, because we still don't know what's going to happen with Jack and JB. As you said, he's been playing. Maybe you don't even start Dylan Labe, but give him some meaningful run, right? Maybe you don't start Trey Taylor because you like Palomar, you like Trevon Merrick, but give him some meaningful run, right? So I mean,
Merrick's
I think
all
these,
bro.
Merrick's
been playing. Merrick's
he's been playing well.
Yeah,
he's been playing well. So it's hard to beat that draft just because, Khalil Mack, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. If Brock Bowers continues what he's doing, hey, he could be that guy one day. Jackson Powers, True. If he continues what he's doing, he can be, one of those guys one day as well. So it's going to be hard to beat that draft when you have, Khalil Mack was an all-pro at 2 positions. Well, it's his second or third year in the league. So it's hard to top that. But I think if Brock, JPJ, and DJ continue on the trajectory they've been on, I think they can surpass that. And I think that sets this up nicely, in the future. So, I mean, I think Telesco for his first draft, I think he did a good job.
No, yeah,
free agency, that's a different story.
Look, it wasn't perfect, but he did have a good draft. But did I agree with every move? No. Usually, are you going to agree with every move a GM does? Probably not. Free agency, is it 100% full? No, it's not. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You got to take a gamble. Minshew might have been now just seeing him play. I mean, at first we like, oh, you know what? He got high end backup money and low end starter money, but then now you see him play, you're like, the Raiders need to get out of this. They need to get out of this deal. Like, this dude is not good.
Yeah.
Like, you do not want to see him on the field for any reason. I mean, one of the most important positions on a football field on a football team is the backup. So now that you've seen Minshew play, it's like, all right, we need to upgrade that spot. We got to figure out, like, we got to get out of that contract somehow, some way. But I would say that was definitely a bad pickup. I think their lack of aggressiveness to upgrade the offensive line too as well was a bad thing for me. I mean, a little mark against Telesco, and they're playing at quarterback. You know, it's just the bottom line. Bottom line, offensive line, quarterback. You could also talk about the defense too a little bit here, like, but it's hard, man. You can't address every spot on the team. You know what I mean? You have to like pick and choose your spots if you have a lot, especially if you have a lot of needs. But I would say the two biggest is offensive line and quarterback. Like, and the quarterback, it's inexcusable. Like the fact how they're playing at QB, and on top of that, like, okay, I understand. Okay, you go with Minshew, but I'm expecting you to add another quarterback to that room. There's no way you're going into the season. And I've been saying this. I feel like every show, every time we talk about the team, we're talking about that quarterback position. And it's so bad where I'm thinking, and I'm sure everybody's thinking about it too as well, it's like, this is part of the plan.
Yeah.
When you really think about it, when it's all said and done. But yeah, I think that's, for me, that was the biggest. Good draft. And you know what? Madison was a solid pickup.
Yeah.
Madison's a solid pickup for what he is.
I mean,
I felt like the Raiders I felt like the Raiders leaned on him more than they should because Zamir was such a huge disappointment. Now, is that on Telesco? Maybe is that on Telesco for not seeing that? Hey, you know what? We should add more talent to this running back room.
But I don't think it's necessarily about talent because Zamir White's a more talented player than Alexander Madison. Like, the only thing Madison does better is catch passes. He's a more talented player.
But Zamir is average. But Zamir is
exactly.
Average at best.
They're both there. But the point is that we were going to move to a committee. I mean, that's the whole thing. We're going to move to a committee system. We weren't going to have like just one primary back. And that's what a lot of the better teams have been doing recently. Like they've had committee system where one guy isn't the guy. They have another guy that can kind of, take his place and play well. That's essentially that's what happened in we talked about with the Texans, right? They had Damian Pierce. He went down. What happened? Devin Singletary, he got the bulk of the carries after that. But then even still, Damian Pierce would still get some run. Same thing that's happening right now with the Commanders. Like, they're another team, right? Like, very few teams have that bell cow back where they have one guy that's carrying the load. Like, a lot of times they have the primary guy, but then they have another guy that can supplement them, right? And the one of the best offenses in the league, that's exactly what they do. That's what the Lions are doing with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. They're two guys that can both, like, they hurt you in different ways. That's with Sonic and Knuckles.
Which is fine, but they have to be talented.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They got to be good. They got to be good. Like some of the people that you mentioned, they're good. Like, they're actually, that's a nice running back room. Like, you mentioned the Lions, David Montgomery and Jamar, that's a good running back room. You talk about the Texans, Damian Pierce and Joe Mixon.
Now it's Joe Mixon. Yeah, Joe Mixon. Last year it was Devin Singletary, but now it's Joe Mixon. People thought Joe Mixon was washed, and look at him now.
I don't. You know what I think, and then I think the Bengals definitely miss Mixon. You know what I mean? He was a big player. He was a big player, a big part of their offense in years past. I'm sure he probably had like a down year, or it wasn't as good as they thought. They probably didn't want to pay him, but guess what? He ended up taking a prove-it 1-year deal, which is kind of interesting. I'm like, damn, the Bengals could have easily did that. So it's kind of interesting. They let him walk, but he looks good out there with the Texans, and the Raiders could have had a chance to probably get him. Possibly. But he was probably only going to give certain teams that type of deal, that type of contract.
Exactly.
Like Texans, I'm for sure taking a 1-year prove-it deal. Raiders, No, they gonna have
and
to
I'm
pay
going to
me.
contend. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
they got a quarterback. It's established. Defense is there. Like they got pieces on offense. I'm sure players look at that. Agents are there to bring it to the players and talk about it. So it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't perfect. Telesco, as much as we kind of been critical at times because we're like, we got to be critical because we've seen everything with the Raiders. We've seen things go left and right, but we have to give them credit for that draft. It was pretty solid. There's something there we can build to. Now, moving forward, going into the offseason, what's a priority position would you say? I know we're skipping all the way to the offseason right now. There's still one half of the season left, but like if we're just looking ahead. Yeah, the season is over. It's the offseason starts for us right now, or it been started, but like what position do you think that the Raiders should prioritize outside of quarterback, which is obvious?
Outside of quarterback, I'm probably prioritizing. I mean, honestly, there's question marks around Malcolm Kuntz. If we can bring Malcolm Kuntz back, then I'm probably prioritizing a number one wide receiver. After quarterback. I'm prioritizing a number one wide receiver, just because if we have a number one weapon in Brock Bowers, but we've seen like how much this offense has struggled, and we assumed we'd have Devontae, but as soon as Devontae went down, it was Devontae went down and Jacoby went down and Brock was the only guy. I think that kind of hurt our offense tremendously. So I think we need, or not necessarily a number one wide receiver, but I think we need more speed at the wide receiver position and more size out of our speed receivers. And I don't think running Trey Tucker and DJ Turner out there is the answer.
All right, let's actually take a look real quick. So this is an early look at the free agent 2025 free agent draft class. This is a courtesy of PFS. Shout out to them. They put together the list. They ranked the players, so it's not a ranking that we 100% necessarily agree with. You know what I mean? But this is their rankings. But they have safety Javon Holland. Hey, Javon Holland is the same safety. That's the safety that got picked before Trayvon Murray, if you guys remember.
Yeah,
I think he came out the same draft. Yep, in 2021. Yep, there you go. And Morrig is a free agent after the season. By the way. Do the Raiders bring him back? Do the Raiders resign? Because we got some free agents too as well. And do you think the Raiders should bring back some of the players that are free agents this year, or is there going to be situations where we're going to have to let them go? Like I think Nate Hobbs might be a free agent after this. Like Raiders got some big time decisions to make as far as re-signing their players that they haven't even. They're taking it all the way to the last hour as far as making that decision to re-sign them. Like, are there any players that you think that the Raiders should re-sign outside of I know you mentioned Kuntz, but I'm sure probably on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, if we can get Kuntz on a friendly deal, I'll bring him back. I think Spillane is a free agent. I'm bringing him back. I will bring back back Merrick.
Spillane might want to get paid because Spillane is playing like one of the best linebackers, and I know he comes with his. But he's been productive, bro. Last 2 years, like he's outplayed his contract.
He's outplayed his contract. He's going to get, like I said, he's not going to be like super like highly. He's not getting like no Roquan Smith type money. Like he's too much of a liability in coverage, And we see the splash plays every now and then. He'll make an interception, and we'll think, look at this guy make an interception. But that discounts the 5 times he bit on the play action fake, and they threw a pass over his head, or he didn't get enough depth in the zone, and they complete a pass over his head. So I mean, but he is one of the emotional leaders on that team. So I think you should bring him back, and I think you should bring back Nate Hobbs. Sure. I mean, a guy I've been a fan of, but I still think we let him walk because we can't bring back everybody. Let Diablo walk at this point. He's hurt too often. His play is too inconsistent. Like he had a terrible game against the Chargers, and he had his 2 next games were very good games, and then he just had another terrible game against the Bengals. So it's like you can't have those kind of highs and lows. Like, you know, you can have some games where you'll be off. You know, maybe you didn't play your best, but it can't be like god awful play up there. Even on a cheap deal, it's because he's going to be. If it was just like inconsistent play and you bring him on a cheap deal, it's fine. But it's inconsistent play and he's hurt all the time. So I think his highs are great highs. Like highs are I think his highs, he can be better than Spillane with his highs, but his lows are way too low for us to keep investing money in them. So I just move on. We got Bernie here, we got Gainer here. You know, it's time to just let him walk. That experiment is over. Sign a guy in free agency, right? Sign a guy in free agency if that's the case.
Right. So just looking at this list, they got safety Javon Holland is the number 1 free agent. T. Higgins is number 2. This is a guy that would you go after T. Higgins if available? If you said number 1 receiver, that was your position that you would attack outside of quarterback. But I'm sure you're waiting for the draft to do that, so you're not gonna.
I'm looking at the draft because T. Higgins is going to want, because we've never seen T. Higgins as a number 1 guy, or we did see T. Higgins as a number 1 guy. Well, not really, but we saw T. Higgins. T. Higgins came in his rookie year with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was the first round pick. He was a second round pick. And then what they do the very next year, they make sure they drafted Jamar Chase because, you know, like they felt they still needed a number 1 weapon. So I'm not paying T. Higgins he's going to want to demand to be the highest paid receiver in the league. And I'm not ready to pay him that kind of money, especially since we've never truly seen him as a number 1 guy.
Yeah. So you got T. Higgins, guard Trey Smith, who's a baller out there with the Chiefs. Yeah. Guard Ronnie Stanley, offensive tackle for the Ravens. Godwin's a free agent. I think his situation, he might come back to Tampa Bay on a cheap deal. It seems like we all, anytime a player is hurt, usually they go back to the team on just 1 year, especially if they're, especially because I'm sure he likes there at Tampa Bay. Like he's been pretty productive player there. He's been there for a while. It looks like he has good chemistry with Baker Mayfield. I can see him going back there for a 1 year deal. But if he's available, like I'm not gonna lie, he tore his ACL, so I don't know how long that's gonna take him out. Like,
I mean, and I think he's still gonna want to get paid because he was balling. He was having a crazy year. So
yeah,
like,
and you think he's gonna demand a big contract, especially with that injury?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we'll see.
He's still going to demand, and somebody's going to give it to him too. It's not going to be it's not going to be number 1, like top of the league, but it's going to still be like high 20s.
But I'm sure he's going to be like, you know what? If I waited out 1 more year where I'm healthy, I could easily get like a big time bill because receivers they're getting paid in today's NFL. They're getting paid.
But I think he's approaching 32, so I don't think he's going to risk any. And think he has a. True. I think this is not his first injury either. So I think he's going to take all the money he can get right now.
Yeah, hey man, Amari Cooper's a free.
I'm good on that. I'm good on Dre Greenlaw too. He's hurt more. He's when it comes to play, when he's healthy, Dre Greenlaw is one of the best linebackers in the league, but he's hurt way too much. Travarius Ward. I mean, I'm not going after a corner, especially an expensive corner.
Ooh, Zach Martin.
Aleem Mitchell is a guy a lot of people wanted that year. Aleem McNeil, when he was drafted, I know a lot of Raider channels was talking about him at D tackle, but I mean we got Wilkins, so I'm good on that. Zach Martin is old. Well, he's 34 though at guard, but he's
solid though. He's solid.
Guards getting paid. Guards are getting paid.
Yeah, that's true.
We already know hell
snaps. No. Justin Fields available.
Hell to the no. Notice Sam Darnold too. I mean, if he takes like a Gardner Minshew deal, maybe. But no, I'm good.
You know what? Hey, Stephon Diggs doesn't look like the same player he was.
He doesn't. Yeah, but he has issues everywhere he goes too.
Yeah, it's just like I'm out. I'm out on that. Hassan Reddick. We all know his situation. All these dudes. I actually want to stay away from Hassan Reddick because his whole situation, it just seems kind of like too dramatic. I mean, what is he going to be like when he gets paid? Is he going to be still the same player that was getting all these sacks and being effective out there. Nah, I don't know. Safety Tyrann Mathieu. I wanted him a few years ago, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
We got all excited about him coming over to the Raiders, and then
and we got to remember too, Morg is a free agent. Do the Raiders bring him back? And I'm sure, if we're being honest, like I think they could. Some of these guys they can bring him back on a cheap deal. It doesn't have to be a big deal. And the Raiders have like, I think I got last time I checked something. It was something to the effect of over $100 million in cap space. Like. Yeah. You can bring back some guys on some good deals, solid deals. That doesn't hamper you in the future, just in case like they don't play well. Then hey, look, you know what? Because I feel like Morg is playing well, but we'll see. We'll see. If Tyrann Mathieu's available, do you go after Tyrann Mathieu?
No, he's too old.
You know what I mean? It's only going to be like, if at this point in his career, he's probably going to take a 1-year deal, and I think he probably wants to win. So he might not. I'm not sure if he's going to go back to the Chiefs. I'm trying to think of a team that probably would need some safety help. That's a winning. They're trying to win now and be competitive. DeMarcus Lawrence, is he the same guy that he used to be?
No.
Ooh, hey, Hufanga. What do you think about safety? The safety right. At first this dude is nice, bro. But then I don't know. He hasn't. I think he's been hurt.
Yeah, he's hurt a lot, and even so, I think he'll want to stay with San Francisco, unless somebody unless somebody like really impresses him with an offer. I think he'll go back to San Francisco.
Okay. Return of the Mac. Yeah, Khalil Mack.
I mean, depending on what that deal look like, I wouldn't hate that. Depending on what that deal looks like, I would not hate that at all.
Yeah. Hey, this is where the Raiders could come in, add to this room. I think Nick Chubb probably coming off a serious injury. I don't think this season he's probably going to look like the player he was last year or the previous years. Yeah. But I think by this offseason, next season, I think he should be fine. I would give him a 1-year deal.
Nick Chubb?
And then also draft a running back. You know what I mean? At some point in the draft. Nick Chubb.
I don't know what kind of money those guys, because Aaron Jones is having a really good year first, and Nick Chubb, we already know like for the past a few years he's been one of the best backs, if not the best back in the league. So I don't know what kind of money they'll demand.
Look at Aaron Jones' situation. Aaron Jones, we all know, is one of the talented running backs in the NFL. He's played well with the Green Bay Packers. Look what happened. He probably got hurt, which I think he did last year.
Yeah.
And I don't think he had as serious an injury as Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Jones took a 1-year deal, and he looks pretty good out there with the Vikings.
Uh-huh.
I think Chubb would be a nice pickup. I'm not saying that, you should put all your eggs in one basket. I'm just saying pick him up, add him to the room, sell him on him being, a contributor to this team, but you still add to that room. You don't just rely on just one guy being the savior. Like, you still could go into the draft a guy, or even have another. Hey, like you just said, committee, a running back by committee. Just add him to the committee and see. And if he's balling, hey, give him the ball, give him the football, give him to the hot hand.
No, I feel you on
that. J.K. Dobbins, I'm not gonna lie, bro, I like him.
J.K. Dobbins, I think San Diego will bring him back, and I think he'll want to stay with San Diego since they took a chance on him. I'm pretty sure he'll stay there.
Bro, he's nice, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Like at the games, he's having a great season for the Chargers. But it makes sense that he'll go back. I'm sure like the Chargers are gonna prioritize bringing him back. Is there anybody I'm trying to look at here? Kuntz, obviously, I would want him to come back. I mean, he's already been in that locker room. We know what type of player he is. I feel like he has a little respect there. Like we heard Patrick Graham talk about how he's taking up a leadership role now. Just had a tough injury. I think they should bring him back on a 1-year deal, obviously, because you don't know how serious that injury was to him. So we got to see him play well. But once we see it, give him that deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Let him get paid. Deontay Johnson, is that another answer to a receiver?
I think he's a smaller guy too, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I just wanted to look at this real quick just to see Chuba Hubbard, free agent.
Chuba Hubbard, he just got paid.
He just got
today.
Paid?
I think he just got paid today. Well,
they just give him a contract.
They
Okay.
just gave him a contract. Yeah, they just gave him a contract.
Okay. AJ Dillon, one of your favorite running backs in the NFL, man. I think.
Bro, that dude.
Oh man.
Trent Brown, bro.
Trent
Trent Brown was
man,
hurt again. He was hurt this last game. He didn't play.
Hey man, when you're 400 pounds, man, at that size, like, and move the way he does, man, like, I'm sure it's tough on him. Keenan Allen is a guy that's gonna be available.
11 seasons in the league, bro. I'm good.
You know,
I'm good.
hey, look, we'll see, man. But yeah, man, that we just wanted to take a little quick look at the free agents next year, man. Just look ahead. But yeah, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. But yeah, man, let's move it along. Let's move it along, man. Let's talk about what's going on around the nation. Around the nation. This is where we get into what's being talked about around the league, around the nation, basically. But this week, we're gonna focus on a comment that was left. Shout out to, was it? I believe it was
the Raider.
The Raider. I think I know who. I forgot. I think I know who this is, but sometimes the names don't match up with the
chat name don't match up with the comment name.
Yeah, it's just like it'd be different. I hate that YouTube does that. Like, that's hella weird, man. At least make it the same. Yeah. But anyways, he says the same way. This is based off, was it last show? Shout out to 50/50. Make sure to tune in to 50/50 show every Tuesday evenings, nights, man. Definitely check that out on either my channel or Severe Raider channel, man. 50/50 every Tuesdays. And this is a comment, I think, based off what happened with Scott Turner being hired and the comments that we made on that show, actually. And we were kind of laughing and joking and, you know, and also being serious about how, like, hiring Norv Turner just seemed like, hiring Norv Turner just seemed like a really strange move in that, like, Scott Turner, it's not his first rodeo in being an OC. Why would he, you know, bring his pops? He wanted, you know, we made jokes about him wanting his dad or him wanting to hold his dad hand throughout this process and yada, yada, yada. But he says the same way y'all feel about Scott Turner bringing in his dad to hold his hand is the same way I felt about AP for bringing in a million coaches to hold his hand too. If we hired any other coach that did that, we'd be screaming he's not qualified for the job in the first place. And that's exactly how this season's playing out. Why are we surprised? And you want to give him another year after coaching a year and a half? He hasn't been coaching for a year and a half, bro. He was an interim coach that got hired in the middle of the season, or not hired in the middle of the season. He was named an interim coach in the middle of the season. He had to basically put duct tape on the team by making certain moves. He made Bo Hottery OC. He turned AOC into a starter. The defense started playing well, even better. I thought the defense played well throughout that season, but they took it to a whole nother level when he took over as head coach. But he was an interim head coach. It wasn't his team. It's still technically, for being honest, like, there's still players that weren't affiliated with him. I mean, he was part of the coaching staff, but he wasn't part of the regime of drafting some of these players, adding players. You know how it is. You know, coaches come in, they want their players. The GMs come in, they want their players. So it's going to take a little bit of time. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, if you hire an inexperienced guy, either way, you shouldn't be giving a head coach 1 year. It got to be extreme circumstances. What does that look like? Extreme circumstances. Jacksonville Jaguars coach Urban Meyer, former Jacksonville Jaguars coach Urban Meyer, he was doing everything to get fired.
Exactly.
You know, he did not want to be there. He was getting caught up in bars, taking pictures with,
girls on his lap,
female fans. You know what I mean? Female fans would just say it like that. And he's a married
kick the punter or kick the kicker or something like that.
Kick the kicker. He's just doing all types of weird stuff, just extreme stuff like that, you know. But I don't think that's where we're at with the Raiders, with AP. But we'll see, and if we'll see. I mean, obviously, there's so many different factors here that we're not even mentioning is like, hey, Tom Brady coming into the team. You know, that could be a big influence. Who knows? A lot could happen. But I think you're being a little bit critical of AP. I understand that we're not winning the game. We're not winning games, but just look at the team. Is this a playoff caliber team?
Yeah.
Is this one of the most talented rosters in the NFL? Like, just be honest. Come on, like, do you think the quarterbacks that we have on our roster are good enough to go to the playoffs? No. Just start asking these questions. Come on, let's be real. Like it doesn't like you want someone to blame. I understand. Someone got to be a scapegoat. A lot of Raider Nation felt like it was Luke Getsy. And some people are blaming AP. You know, hey, look, I understand, man. Hey, no, everybody's tired of losing, but I just don't agree with this. I mean, I kind of respect that he doesn't have a big ego where he, you know, would be like, hey, it's my way or the highway, in the sense that I'm not going to listen to anybody. He actually is willing to listen to people who know more than he does, who have plenty of experience. So I don't knock him for that, but at the end of the day, like, there might be a point where someone could say, like, maybe there might be too many cooks in the kitchen. Yeah. You know, you gotta, hey, at the end of the day, AP, you have to be the guy that needs to stand. And I'm sure he is, but like, we don't know what the dynamic is. I think at the end of the day, it's just that we're losing and we're trying to figure out why we're losing. But in the reality, we know why. Come on, let's look at his team. It's not good enough. Has AP coached? You know, has he played? Has he been the best coach? No. I mean, you probably could talk about the game management, but you know, hey, look, there is another guy helping him out with that, and maybe he should go. Maybe AP should be actually, hopefully during his bye week, is like, you know what? Let me take over that responsibility. Because I'd rather, hey, if you're gonna go down, at least you go down fighting. Like, try to don't depend on another guy manage again. Figure out a way to, if that's not a strength of yours, hey, try to get better, man. I don't know. I just feel like he's taking a lot of blame for game management, and there's someone else that's doing it. Yeah. So that sucks, man. What are your thoughts on this comment?
Yeah, man. We picked this comment out because this is like the sentiment we've been hearing around a lot of fans, right? And they're highly critical of Antonio Pierce, hypercritical, in fact. And first of all, you know, just to address his point, like, you know, it's a completely different dynamic between a guy who's been in the league for a while, who you would think he would have been, since he's been in the offensive coordinator role before, he would have been getting advice from his father in that role already, and then who has already 3 years of experience in that role, right? Antonio Pierce is a brand new head coach. You know, hasn't been a head coach at the pro level before, and one of the knocks on him was his inexperience. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in order to kind of counteract that weakness, he surrounded himself with people that were more experienced. You know, namely guys that have been former head coaches in the NFL, in Joe Philbin and in Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis, you know, having been, especially in the regular season, not so much in the postseason, but in the regular season, having been a very successful head coach. And then he gets advice from a guy who was a 2-time Super Bowl champion, you know, both times beating, you know, the greatest player of all time, or the greatest winner of all time in Tom Brady. So I think that is a guy who, you know, I think those are the kind of voices you want to rely upon, especially when you're very young in the league. And I think that's, like, as you stated, that's like, that shows you don't have any ego. It's not all about you. It's not your way or the highway. You're willing to work as a collaborator with others and bring in people that you know more than you, right? Like, well, what's the saying? That there are known knowns, there are known unknowns, and there are unknown unknowns. Sometimes you don't even know what you don't know. Right. You might encounter a situation that you have no idea that you would have encountered before. So that's why you bring in these other experienced coaches. It's different with Scott Turner because he's already been in the position. It's different with Scott Turner because that guy is his dad. If he needs advice on something, just
Right.
call him on the
Right.
phone, shoot him a
Right.
text, an email. Like old guys like email. Shoot him an email. Like it's that easy. So and the fact that yes, we want to give Antonio Pierce another year. As you alluded to, this is his first year as head coach, where he is the guy that is responsible for everything. And this year has been wrought with injuries, devastated by injuries. Like I haven't seen the type of devastation, in terms of injuries, hit a team this hard in a very long time. And it's also his very first year. We had a tougher schedule than we've had previously, and we've had some turmoil, right? We had the Devontae Adams stuff happen, and that was an ongoing thing. So like there was a lot of outside stuff that is affecting this team, and I think when you hired Antonio Pierce, there had to be an understanding that there were going to be some growing pains. And I think even Mark Davis kind of alluded to this in some of the interviews he was talking about before the season started, where he understood, and Antonio is a young head coach. He's going to have to learn on the job, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. But generally, like rookie players, you see the biggest leaps from year 1 to year 2. So I think if we don't give Antonio Pierce that opportunity to make those improvements, I think we've made a grave mistake. And another thing is that you don't want to, like, remember how critical we were of Carolina for firing Frank Reich? And then, everybody was like, oh, well, look, we're going to grab this hotshot offensive coordinator, the guy that took Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the playoffs, right? This guy,
Right.
he'll know what to do. And Dave Canales. And look at Carolina. They're right back where they were last year. Because it's impossible to build that kind of success in 1 year, especially when there's been years of bad drafting, terrible roster decision, and dysfunction. So it takes time to clean all that up. Rome wasn't built in a day. Why do you think a championship contending team will be? It doesn't make any sense.
Facts, 100%. Like I said, it's just frustration with losing, and like we're just used to just the Raiders losing so much, and always pointing the finger at the coach, the quarterback, this guy, that guy. You know what I mean? It's always gonna be, but I feel like the coach is one of the probably the first people that people point to, and blame, but in this case. I understand some of the frustration. There are times where I'm like, what was, because I've heard this as well, that AP has had an influence on the offensive game plan, in that he wants to incorporate the running game a little bit more. And, you could look to that and be like, it's not really working.
Yeah.
The Raiders' strength on offense is technically it's passing the football, which makes sense. We got a lot of weapons out there, especially when we had Devontae Adams out there with everybody when healthy. And guess who's coming back too? By the way, we forgot to mention this. Michael Mayer is probably going to be playing against the Dolphins after this bye week. It just sounds like AP was pretty much implying that he was going to be back soon. And I think based off the list that he was on, he should be back by next game. But we'll see. That's another guy, another piece on offense. I feel like, you can. I'm not saying AP's perfect.
Exactly.
But giving him an opportunity to get better. I think people are like, what? We got to be patient with the coach? Yeah, I mean, like, you don't fire. See, we're used to firing coaches, like, in the first year. Like, if you've been following this team long enough, we notice that we've gone through coaches left and right. And I get that, like, that's not something that, we should expect. But I think that you got to give AP another shot. But, look, I said the other day, too, I'm saying this all to say that it does seem kind of interesting with this Tom Brady hire. You know,
we're not higher, but I know what you mean.
I mean, with him becoming a minority owner.
Yeah.
His influence.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. I want it that I'm not saying that AP won't get fired. I'm saying he shouldn't get fired. He shouldn't get fired, but will he get fired? I don't know. That's a very good question. I think it's going to be close. It's definitely going to be close, and I think AP he's feeling the pressure because when you fire your offensive coaching staff in the middle of the season, you feel like you have to win. You know what I mean? Like you have to win. You feel like if you don't win enough games, then you leave it up to the owner and the powers to be like, you know what? He didn't win. We can go with Ben Johnson or whoever, hot shot, whatever coach that they are interested in, and they could easily go with a more experienced candidate because whoever's coming in technically will be more experienced than AP.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
But to that point, right? They won't be more experienced than AP at head coach, right? Like most likely, if we hire Ben Johnson, we hire one of these hot shot offensive coordinators, it won't be more experienced than Antonio Pierce
as a coordinator,
at head coach.
As a coordinator in the NFL,
but
you know what I mean.
But we've seen just because you're a good coordinator doesn't make you a good head coach. Like we just got done watching that movie, right? And what happens if Ben Johnson comes in here? He struggles his first year. Do we fire him and say, "Oh, no, what? It's not working. Let's get rid of this dude, and let's go to the next. So are we going to just keep firing guys after their first year until we find a guy that's able to get lucky enough to be good in his first year? But even then, that makes it difficult because with every new coach comes a new philosophy, offensively, probably defensively. So then, like the draft picks you had the year before, 9 times out of 10, those guys are useless because they might have been drafted to a scheme that's no longer in use. So now you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. So not only are you firing a coach, the money you spend on that coach and still paying that coach, but then you just wasted dang near an entire draft class because you've changed scheme. So it's counterproductive. And these are the moves that keep the Raiders bad. And people don't realize that. It's like people don't realize this is why we suck. This is part of the reason why we've sucked. Look at all the franchises that are good and that have been good. Like the one common denominator is stability. It's stability. You a stable environment, because a stable environment, that's an environment where people thrive, and that's an environment where other people want to go to, right? Like people want to go to a place where there's some certainty there, and we have to build that. You don't build that by constantly cycling through coaches, right? You got to give the person an opportunity to learn on the job, and then prove that they're not that person. Like imagine like I'm trying to think like imagine if you walked into and we understood that this wasn't going to be a quick turnaround. We understood this was going to be a quick turnaround. Like imagine if you walk into a barbershop, right? I don't know like how many people like go to a barbershop, but if you're getting a fade, right? What is the first thing the barber does? Is he balled you out? So what if somebody walks in right now, like, oh man, you don't know how to cut?
I gotta address this real quick, man. I don't know if that was a shot at me. I still got a hairline, y'all. I wear hats, but I still got a hairline over here. I still go to barbershops. I'm just putting it out there. But yeah, go ahead.
Nah, but like anybody that's seen somebody get a fade, right? Especially you get a high fade. First thing they do is they ball you out, and then so it looks like you got a bowl cut at first. So if somebody walks in right there, like, oh, this your haircut? Like, bro, you know how to cut hair. I'm leaving. I'm going to another barber. Like, what? Like, let me finish the cut. Like, that was just step one of the cut. I still have to go in with the one guard and the half guard and do the fade and all that stuff. Like, I'm still in the process of fading. You can't come in after that very first step and say, oh, bro, you don't know how to cut, bro. I'm going somewhere else because my fade wasn't in. You didn't touch the clippers to my head. And I instantly had a fade. So I'm going to another barber. Like, it doesn't make sense. So you got to give people time to work, man. You got to give people time to work.
No, I agree, man. But shout out for the comment, man. But we're not done yet. Real quick. Man, Lombardi is just making his media rounds this week.
Man.
Earlier in the week we had like a clip with Rich Gannon and Lombardi where he was taking shots left and right. Obviously, Rich Gannon didn't hold back as well, but it just didn't feel like it was personal. He was just being critical of his team just because, obviously the Raiders not winning. Didn't see anything wrong with it, but we'll see with how his relationship with the Raiders will be. I'm just saying it because he still works for the Raiders media, and he was really critical of the team. That being said, Lombardi, it seemed a little bit personal, and he was on ESPN the other day, and here is what he had to say real quick. Let's go ahead and play this clip.
You know Mark Davis, the owner, very, very, very well. How do you see this thing turning out, and which direction you think they're going to go from here? Win-loss wise?
I just think, to me, Chuck, Mark has been very irrational. He's made very quick decisions, and he's fallen in love. He's listened to a lot of the wrong people. I think, to me, I'm not sure he has enough confidence in listening to the right people. And they talk about the Raider way all the time. I don't think they really operate under the Raider way. They light that torch for Al every week, but does anybody really understand what Al was all about? I think that's a hard conversation to have, and they have no stability or no continuity. I love Norv and Scott. That they're walking into a tough job here because this offensive line has struggled all season. Joe Philbin's going to have a tough time. They can't run the ball. And then, of course, they have a really difficult time in terms of being able to get control of the game. They've gotten worse since the year's begun defensively. They haven't been anywhere where they were last year. So, I think Antonio Pierce is grasping for straws here at this point because how has he made the team better from a year ago when he took over as the interim coach? I think that's the real challenge. And this offseason, now he's talking about maybe starting Desmond Ridder at quarterback. I think they have more of an offensive problem than just a quarterback problem. They have an identity problem, right? They couldn't run the ball last year. They can't this year.
Hey, man, Lombardi's enjoying this, obviously, but there's some truth to what he's saying. He mixed in truth with some of the things that I do think that the Raiders don't have an identity. I do agree with that. I also agree with the issues that we have on the offensive line. It's going to be tough for Scott Turner and Norv to come in and be successful. We've seen it with Bo Hargree. Obviously, Bo Hargree was an inexperienced play caller, different situation. We'll see what Scott and Norv cook up, but they're going to have to work with what they got. They can't really make any drastic changes mid-season. This is what it is. They're not going to be installing a brand new offense. They're just going to be probably calling the game a little bit different, maybe calling these plays in the playbook a little bit more compared to what Lou Getsy was doing. So that's probably going to be the change. But as far as the Raider way, you can tell that's Mark Lombardi taking his little shots, indirect shot at AP. Just talking about the Raider way and all that. But I do agree, man, when him being critical of Mark Davis to a certain extent, because Mark just needs to stay away from the team. Just stay away. Just be an owner. Why can't you just be like the other owners in the NFL, man? You're not your pops. I understand that he's not his father, and he knows that, but he's still, influencing. He's still a little too close. He's a little too close. I was hoping for an official position in that building that was above the GM and coach. That's what I thought. What Mark was implying when he had an interview a year ago, where he was talking about he's not a guy that knows as much football as his pops did, and his dad had Ron Wolf, and there might be some that I felt like he was going to give it an official position. Now, if we're looking at it right now, it might be Tom Brady, but Tom Brady is more of a minority owner. So, he's a minority owner. He doesn't have an official position or job. It's just him just from afar or just in the building, just telling Mark like, hey, maybe we should go with this route because of X, Y, and Z, and this is how it would work, and yada, yada, yada. And he would sell it to Mark, and Mark would probably tell him to follow the exact plan that Tom Brady has set forth. Yeah. That's how I'm seeing it. And when I look at it from that perspective, I'm like, What happens if Mark loses faith?
Yeah.
Because he changes his mind like the weather. He like 1 week he'll say, if you guys remember the McDaniel situation where he's yelling at a fan talking about use your head, and then 2 weeks later McDaniels is fired. And the fan at the time was obviously yelling about, Josh McDaniels needs to be fired, this and the third.
Yeah.
But it's just I think Mark just needs to step back a little bit and let the people who know what they're doing run the franchise, like he's doing with his basketball team, his women's basketball team is winning championships left and right. He has hired the right people. He has top facilities, and they're winning championships. I don't know if they won the championship this year. I don't follow
They
WNBA.
didn't. I think they lost.
I don't follow the WNBA like that, but I do know that they've won a few championships while he was the owner of this team. So why don't you repeat whatever recipe that you're doing there? Why don't you apply it there? If you look at look at all the top teams in the NFL, they're pretty similar in how they run. Like there's organizational structure. And that's what the Raiders have been lacking for years. And I'm hoping that we get that. I'm hoping that Brady could be the second coming of whatever you want to call it. Just let it be equal to winning. But Lombardi did say some stuff in there that I agree with. He's still a hater, but I'm going to acknowledge certain things that is saying is true. What do you think of the clip?
First things first, in terms of, he talks about like the Raider way. And I mentioned this last show. Like the Raider way hasn't worked since free agency started. Like the Raiders up into a free agency, remember the Raiders were the team of the decades. I think they had I think they had been to a Super Bowl in every decade, so something like that, right? And they were one of the most winningest franchises. As soon as free agency started, the Raiders were a bad team immediately. Then they had a little bit of success when John Gruden got here. Then we traded him, and then we were a bad team again. And then we had a little bit of success with Jack Del Rio, and then we fell off after that. And then we fired him, and then we had a little bit of success with John Gruden. Then the NFL stepped in and got rid of him, and now we're back to being terrible again. So this cycle keeps repeating itself. Right. We haven't been a good team in a very long time. And I don't think cycling through coaches I think that's part of the problem. He talks about us not having a philosophy on offense. We went into the off season. We came into this season. We had an identity, right? We wanted to be a team that ran the ball. There was understood that with the quarterbacks we have, whether that be Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell, that wasn't going to cut it. Forcing them to pass the ball, because neither one of them are great decision makers, and we've heard the stat ad nauseum about Aiden O'Connell and his mobility issues. So if you put an immobile quarterback back in the pocket against a team that knows you're going to pass, like that's a recipe for disaster all the time. So we want to run the ball, but we just don't have the guys up front that can create enough push in the run game. Andre James and we thought going to a zone blocking scheme where we can kind of use the athleticism of the guys we have. Even though Colton Miller's a big guy, he's a really good athlete for his size. JPJ is a good athlete. Andre James is a solid athlete. Jalen Parham's a good athlete. And then Thayer Munford, what can we say about that? But DJ Glaze he moves very well. But it's just that they're just not strong enough at the point of attack, and there wasn't enough continuity on the offensive line. And when you're an offensive line unit, part of that is trust, and part of that is having an understanding of the scheme and understanding playing together. And when essentially this unit didn't get any OTAs or training camp together, because Colton Miller was out, and then Jackson Powers Johnson was out, and then it was a kind of a rotating door between Thayer Munford and DJ Glaze because Thayer Munford got hurt. Which once again, I'm looking at you, AJ Neibel, and his training staff. So that's part of the reason. And then just Alexander Madison and Zamir White, they just haven't done a good enough job. They just haven't done a good enough job. So like the identity that we went into the season hoping that we would have, that kind of went by the wayside, and then we were just left with bad quarterback play.
Right.
But in terms of Mark Davis, Mark Davis has done what you would want an owner in his position to do for the most part. So the Raiders never in their history had a GM, correct? Al Davis had always basically occupied that role. So Al Davis passes. What does Reggie McKenzie do? He puts on a search, an exhaustive search. He asks some of the best minds in football. Maybe these guys led him astray. I think he reached out to Jerry Jones. He reached out to Ken Henrock. He reached out to Ron Wolf, right? And the name, and he reached out to some other people. I can't remember everybody else, but the name that he kept hearing was this ace personnel guy with the Packers. And the Packers at that time, they were doing great things. And Ron Wolf was employed with the Packers, and he was like, yo, man, this guy is legit. And this guy was a former Raider. So he hires Reggie McKenzie, gives Reggie McKenzie the keys, and even lets Reggie McKenzie, well, maybe this was Mark Davis's choice. Let Reggie McKenzie tell it, it was his choice. But they relieved Hugh Jackson of his duties, and he lets him bring in his own guy. And then he lets Reggie McKenzie go about revamping all the infrastructure with the Raiders, bringing the Raiders out of the Stone Age into the modern era with computers and electronics and stuff like that, right? Direct deposit for players. Ooh, what a concept. So he gives Reggie McKenzie the power to do all of this stuff, right? And then Dennis Allen fails miserably. And I think that's when Mark Davis kind of made the first mistake, because he was already making overtures toward Gruden. And I think it was kind of him who pushed for the Jack Del Rio hire after they couldn't get Gruden. And then, he kind of overstepped his bounds again and hired Gruden. I think that was his biggest mistake, was if you're going to hire a GM, let the GM do his job. You don't start to meddle with the guy doing his job, because then he brings in Gruden, gives Gruden this 10-year contract, and now essentially Gruden has control over the direction of the organization, because he has a 10-year, $100 million contract, right? Like the richest contract for any NFL coach at that time. And but even then, right? Like Mark Davis being Mark Davis, I don't want the football decisions. John Gruden, you take that. He lets John Gruden fire Reggie McKenzie, lets John Gruden bring in his buddy Mike Mayock, who had never been a GM before, right?
See,
he allows all this to happen.
Yeah,
he allowed that, right? He did not allow that. Were these not John? That was John Gruden's choice, right? To fire Reggie McKenzie, the guy that Mark Davis hired, and then to bring in Mike Mayock. That was John Gruden's thing. And then the only reason they end up letting go of John Gruden was because of the NFL, and that investigation with the Commanders, which somehow that leads back to us. So then fast forward, Rich Bisaccia, he takes over as interim coach. He leads the Raiders to the playoffs. They're a Derek Carr incompletion away from tying or forcing overtime against the Bengals, a team that eventually went on to make a trip to the Super Bowl. And then they were incompletion away, essentially from winning the Super Bowl. But he doesn't know if Rich Bisaccia is the guy that can be the head coach. And then he's seen the track record of drafting with Mike Mayock, so he decides to move on from both of those guys. And he decides to, hey, you know what? I'm going to hire a guy that's been in one of the better organizations, that has 5 Super Bowl rings, of offensive coordinator, who's worked at the foot of the greatest coach of all time, also in the building with one of the greatest owners of all time, with the winningest player, in professional sports history, damn near outside of Bill Russell, right? So he brings in that guy, and as a package deal, because he wants that guy to have a GM he's comfortable with. He hires Dave Ziegler, even though he wanted to hire Ed Dodds. That was documented. He wanted Ed Dodds Josh McDaniels made it clear. Josh McDaniels made it clear that if he wanted to take the job, Dave Ziegler had to be the GM. So once again, he deferred a football decision to somebody else. He went against his own judgment to defer the football to somebody else, and he let those guys do their thing. And even rewind before that, right? When he had laid all the groundwork to bring in Tom Brady to be our quarterback after he left the New England Patriots. Tom Brady is going to be a package deal with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. He delivered that to John Gruden, and John Gruden said no. And Mark Davis could easily be like, no, I'm the owner. We're doing this. Not only is this going to sell tickets, but I think it's going to help us win. But he deferred that football decision to his coach. He let Josh McDaniels, he let them do their thing. And when that didn't work, he relied. And I think personally, I think he wanted to keep Josh McDaniels. But I think that team meeting that was had, I think that was kind of the turning point. And I think on the advice of the players, I think that's what made him kind of push Josh McDaniels out the door. We bring in Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce, kind of has similar success to what Rich Bisaccia did with that previous team, and not wanting to make that same mistake twice. Instead of going for a more established name, a guy that has some head coaching experience in the past, he hires an interim coach. And so I think at every turn he's attempting to make the right move. And I think he's attempting to give the football decision to somebody else. I think that's part of the reason why he paired Tom Telesco, an experienced GM, with Antonio Pierce, an experienced head coach, to have an experienced person there to go ahead and guide the organization in the right direction, because he wants to absolve himself of those responsibilities.
I understand what you're saying, but you're with making your point, you're taking accountability away from Mark Davis, because at the end of the day, he made the decision to hire these coaches, hire these GMs. That was his decision at the end of the day. Now, what happens in between that time, I understand that he's not making those decisions, like picking up this player or cutting this player or calling this play. I understand he's not going to be doing that, but he is making a decision to hire certain people. He is making a decision to give a guy a 10-year contract coming from his ESPN gig, commentating gig, where, at the end of the day, like, if y'all don't have short-term memory, we were kind of on the fence with John Gruden at the end of his tenure. I know it ended in a weird way, but we were on the fence because there were certain issues with John Gruden that weren't going away, where the team struggled later in the season. Short yardage and red zone were an issue almost every year he coached that team. It did not get better. Were there some good things? Yes. But there are certain things that were not getting better. And if we're being honest, like, he was going to be there for another 6 years. Typically teams don't have that shot after a while, like, and at the end of the day, that's on Mark Davis. At the end of the day, you got to, the point that I'm trying to make is that he needs to have someone in between. There has to be a little bit of more structure. It's gotten better. I'm not saying that it's like we all knew that Al Davis was the guy. He was making the big time roster decisions. But Al Davis is a one of one. There is no other Al Davis. There is no other owner that knows as much football as he does. And the Al Davis, maybe Tom Brady. We'll see. But the Al Davis that we've seen growing up, he was past his prime. He was older. He was trying to win it every year. Like, he was, it's hard to compare to that. And I feel like Mark is trying to replicate that in his own way. He's trying to be more involved with the team, where in reality, he should just hire the right people all the way through. Meaning, even the guy that's hiring the GM and maybe even coach should not be Mark. He should hire the guy to make those executive decisions, in my opinion, and run the franchise that way, because he self-admittedly says that he doesn't know anything about football. But what he doesn't realize, it doesn't just stop on the field. It's also outside the football field. You keep making the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
Like, what are we saying here? Like, if you keep making the wrong decisions at the end of the day, like, you know, what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's where we're at with. But that's where we're at with Mark Davis, is that the fact that he's constantly trying to fix something and make the right decision when he's not doing it. He's not making the right decision. None of the people that you've mentioned or that we can talk about was the right decision. None of these people that okay, if they were the right decision, then why are they not being successful somewhere else? Meaning a head coach, meaning GM. They're, you know, I'm just, if we're being honest, let's keep it real. So I'm just saying, you cannot say that, oh, he's doing everything to win. But in reality, I think Mark is more interested in the show. He's more interested in the show because look, you know what? I'm gonna be that guy today. I'm gonna be that guy. I know people in the chat like, oh man, stop hating, man. Mark is doing everything he can to win. It's the coach. It's AP. It's the head coach.
The chat's gonna be with you. I think the chat's gonna be with you.
You think so? All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm just tired of losing, and I'm just noticing that ownership is a big part of it. I think ownership is a big part of it. Can we talk about the head coach? Can we talk about the players on the team? Yeah, but players have come and gone, and coaches have come and gone, and there's always been one constant, that's the owner. And I think he's making too many of the same. He's just too close to it. And maybe, hopefully Tom Brady will be the blessing in disguise here. Maybe he can come in and just, you know, because we talk about Mark, he's listening to a lot of the wrong people. Why are you listening? So you can make decision. Why don't you just hire someone that you feel is capable at his job and let him make the big structural decisions, the GM, the coach, like let him run the franchise, bro.
You pause there. You pause there. I know what that pause was for. You know what that pause was for. I know what that pause is for. The chat know what that pause is for too. They know why you paused. Pause. You know why you paused? Because what are you asking Mark Davis to do? You asked him to do what? Hire somebody to make the decisions, right?
Right.
That's what he's been doing. So you just want him to hire somebody. You just want him to. So you just wanted to take one step further. You want him to hire somebody to make the decisions, but he still has to hire somebody to make those decisions. So if he's bad at hiring people making decisions,
No. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Who fired Jack Del Rio? Who fired Jack Del Rio? Was it McKenzie?
Jack Del Rio fires himself, low key.
Yeah. He had Del Rio firing himself, which I'm sure he probably hates the Raiders and Mark Davis for life because, you know, that's that's tough. You go out there and be like, I'm no longer the coach after the last game. But anyway, that's a whole different conversation. But what I'm saying is,
the locker room had turned on Jack Del Rio too, though. So I mean, if anything, you could say Mark Davis he's too easily influenced by the players, if that's the thing, because that's been well reported that Jack Del Rio had lost the locker room. But to piggyback on your point earlier, you're right. You said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. But Mark Davis has done different things. He's done different things. That's why so the first thing he did was hire Reggie McKenzie, a rookie GM, and he let that rookie GM hire a rookie head coach. So after that, what did he do? He's like, man, I'm not doing another rookie head coach. I'm going out. I'm getting a veteran head coach. He tried to get Gruden. That didn't work. Then he hired Jack Del Rio, right? And that
why are you saying that he hired? Why is it not? Why is it not the GM?
We all know he had influence on there. But
okay, why is it not the GM though? Aren't you supposed to hire the person to make those decisions? You just said that to start. You said
he should have. He should have.
But he didn't. So he's part of the problem. So he's part of the problem then.
And in that instance, yes. But that's when he went out and got John Gruden. That's when he went out. But that's why he went out and got John Gruden, because John Gruden is the guy that he felt he can trust. I think that when he saw the management of the team and the personnel under Reggie McKenzie, I think he began to lose trust in Reggie McKenzie. I think that's part of the reason why, if your first hire was Dennis Allen, that was a miserable failure. I think, and at that time, Mark Davis, he's like, a new owner as well, right? Is a new owner that everybody, he's searching for his own respect as well. He wants to show that he can make the tough decisions. So I think he wanted a person in the building that he knew was a grinder, that he knew he can trust. And I think that he trusted John Gruden, and he let John Gruden run the show. And I think he let John Gruden do his thing. And I think that was a mistake, because it never really works when a coach is the head coach and a pseudo GM as well, right? Even though Mike Mayock was a GM, we all know John Gruden was a pseudo GM. But that was him trying something different. And then he went with Josh McDaniels and the Dave Ziegler combination. That was him again trying something different. And then this time, last time he didn't hire Rich Bisaccia, right? And he didn't keep Champ Kelly. So this time, what did he do? He tried something different, and he hired Antonio Pierce, and not Champ Kelly, but Michael Mayock. But this time he tried something different. He hired Antonio Pierce, and instead of pairing Antonio Pierce with the rookie GM, which some of us, a lot of us wanted him to do, he said, "I saw how this movie played out last time I had a rookie head coach and a rookie GM. I'm going to pair my inexperienced head coach with an experienced GM." That's right. Trying something different there. So he's tried something different at every instance. So he's not doing the same thing over and over again. He's trying something different.
I hear what you're saying, but but here's where the problem is. He's making the decision of hiring Josh McDaniels and Ziegler. You just said that he felt like Ed Dodge should have been a guy, but in reality he wanted McDaniels. You know why? Because someone told him to get McDaniels, and then he got intrigued because McDaniels might be connected to who? Oh, Tom Brady. Tom Brady might want to come back and play for his old OC. You know what I mean? And you could tell the respect level wasn't there for Ziegler, because Ziegler felt like he said, the GM had all the power, but Ziegler knew why he was there. He knew that McDaniels was the guy. And that's a whole different.
That's on Ziegler though. That's not Mark Davis.
That's on Mark. Why are you hiring guys with that dynamic? Why don't you hire people that you feel like are capable to do their job, and you don't create a dynamic where the other person is the reason why that the other person is there? Because Josh McDaniels was the guy that Mark wanted. He wanted him, and I think he wanted him because of obviously the success he had with the Patriots, but also indirectly, you can make a case and say it was probably you're trying to get Tom Brady to come play for the Raiders. Yeah. Little chess move, like, hey, look, you can come play for your old OC. Not now, maybe later. But Ziegler got the job because of McDaniels. Ziegler wasn't the guy. You just mentioned Ed Dodds was the guy that he wanted to hire, right? Yeah. And Ed Dodds is also available this year, and he ended up going with Telesco to go along AP. It's just, look, man, I just think at the end of the day, if you say this all the time, right? Success leaves clues. Look at the successful teams in the NFL. The Raiders, we all know, are a one-of-a-kind franchise. They have a one-of-a-kind history. Al Davis, the way he did it was... it was crazy. The way how much he knew the game. He was a coach. He was a GM, owner, and the knowledge of the game that he had. The prime of his career, the Raiders are one of the best teams in the NFL. Mark is not his father. The Raiders, the game has changed. The Raiders you can't win like that. You got to have some level of structure. And for the longest time, they didn't have that. And I feel like they're still not done. The job is not done. Mark needs to separate himself. I know you're saying that he's trying, but my point is that he needs to stop trying. He needs to hire just one guy. If it's one guy, two guys, whoever, just separate himself. Let him focus on the business side, because he's making money. He winning off the field. I ain't got nothing
Yeah,
to
I mean,
say.
the,
Like
the,
off
the, yeah,
the field.
the Raiders are making money. I mean,
The Raiders are
Raiders
making
are making
Raiders are making
hand
money.
over
The
fist.
value went up. You know what I mean? He's super successful in that aspect. I'm just I'm speaking selfishly as a fan of the team and them wanting to win. From that aspect, he's been a major disappointment. I mean, since he's taken over as an owner, the Raiders are 89 and 131 losses, 89 wins and 131 losses. So he hasn't. Look, 2 playoff appearances. We all could remember that 2016, 2021, and that's about it. Look, we all know what it is with the Raiders, man. I just think that at the end of the day, Mark just needs to relax, kick back. He does not need to hire. Look,
he still have to hire somebody. That's the point. He still have to hire somebody.
Right. But he did it with he did it with his WNBA team, where he hired whoever. That's a whole different conversation. I don't think the people watching us care about how the structure of the WNBA team for the Las Vegas Aces. They don't care about that. But all you need to know is that franchise is running itself. He hired the right people. They're hiring the right people, and they have one of the best facilities in the WNBA, and they're winning a lot of basketball games. They're winning championships.
Yes,
he could do the same with the Raiders, but I think subconsciously there he wants to be close to that team. He wants to be part of the success of that team, just like his father was. But it's cool, man. You ain't gotta. Man, look. Yeah, like I said, I always say this is a conversation for another day, but today we're having that conversation because it's a bye week, and the Raiders are at 2-7, and we got to talk about it. I'm just looking at it from a perspective is that Mark he's the common denominator. With all these things that you're talking about, he's the common denominator. You cannot tell me, oh, well, he's trying to make. Why does he keep trying? Why is he firing coaches? Isn't that the GM's job to do that? Isn't that the GM's responsibility? If you're not going to have a guy, if you're not going to, there's not going to be another guy above a GM. You're not going to allow the GM to do his job.
Yeah, but we all know that the John Gruden dynamic that was a unique dynamic, and then
that was a terrible dynamic.
But that was him giving control. Still, that was him giving control. So if you didn't want him to give control, then that's a different situation. But even still, so let's say he shouldn't did any of this. He still has to hire this other person. So he keeps hiring other people to make decisions. He keeps hiring other people to make decisions, right?
Right.
So he's not making any football decisions. He's hiring other people to make football decisions.
But look. All right,
it's the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but
you're missing. So who's going to hire? So you want him to hire a president of football operations? Who's going to be in charge of hiring that person?
I think he's going to be part of that discussion.
Exactly. But that's the same thing he's been doing. So when they hired Tom Telesco,
that's not what he's been doing. That's not what he's been doing.
It was a panel of people that they interviewed Tom Telesco. That panel included Richard Seymour. It included Antonio Pierce. When he hired Josh McDaniels, it was a panel that included other people. And now that panel was old as hell, but it was a panel of other people that interviewed all these other people and gave their recommendation. He's been trusting other people that are quote unquote football guys to make these decisions already. So if the people he's trusting are still making bad decisions, then at that point, where do you turn to? You go outside the organization and maybe do it through a hiring firm, but that's a mixed bag of success. Like perfect example, we look at the Steelers, right? The Steelers are that's like the gold standard, for in the NFL right now, right?
Right.
We talk about the Steelers. Their GM is Omar Khan. Know why Omar Khan got the job? Because Art Rooney recommended him getting the job because that's who Art Rooney trusted. So but the difference is the difference is the Steelers already had a built-in culture. We haven't had a winning culture since the 80s. So we have to build everything from scratch, from the ground up.
But why do the Raiders continue to lose because they lack consistency and stability. And why do they lack consistency and stability? Is because the owner thinks he knows football when he says he doesn't know football because he keeps firing people left and right. Now are there extreme circumstances? Yeah, McDaniels, but he made that decision. You know what I mean? When are you going to allow a guy? Want that decision made? When are you going to allow a guy? I guess John Gruden was the last guy that he actually gave more than what. I think he would probably let him coach for that 10-year contract. If there's a possible chance. And we've seen a little bit of the fruits of that labor a little bit. There were some good things coming out of that stability and that consistency. But like I said, there are also certain things about it where we're like, man, they weren't getting better. But at the end of the day, like you mentioned, like these decisions that he's making, I understand he's going to have to make a decision to hire somebody. Obviously, he's the owner of the team.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is he's not using structure. He's coming in and saying, I'm going to fire the coach. I'm going to fire the GM, or I'm gonna create a dynamic where he even admitted that the dynamic between John Gruden and Mike Mayock is not something that he was looking for, because what we didn't know, it was bad. It wasn't good because he said there was constantly back and forth. There were friction. You know what I mean? You got to imagine, like, you got a coach who wants to win now, and John Gruden is a very like, I want it. I'm sure he won it now. He wants his guy. He wants his guy to be drafted, which, you know what, we can kind of see because look how bad the draft picks are. And we know Mike Mayock is not that bad of a talent evaluator. You know what I'm saying? So we seen that bad dynamic, but Mark Davis was a part of creating that dynamic. Why are you empowering a coach with GM responsibilities? Why are you doing that? That is not successful. Like, let's look at the NFL. There's the one example maybe might have been Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time, and we've seen how bad that was in the later years because he couldn't even identify a wide receiver in the first round. I mean, we've seen what happened in the end with the Patriots. Yeah. But my point is at the end of the day, the Raiders need structure, and Mark needs to hire somebody. Yes, you're correct. You're right about that. He needs to hire somebody, but let the structure take care of itself. Let that president of football operations, if you don't hire a president, let the GM do his job. Why are you coming in trying to fire the coach? Why are you trying to come in and it's just, what are you doing? And that's the reason why the Raiders haven't been good for a long time. They have no type of consistency, no type of stability. Like, you look at all the other teams, at the very least, I know this. You said the gold standard is the Steelers, but if you look at other teams, the Ravens, you look at the Eagles, like there's a certain level of like structure where even if they get rid of a guy, guess who's getting rid of that guy? The GM, who's been there, who's been able to build that culture, that's whatever, you know what I mean? And I understand that it's tough to get that right, but he hasn't even allowed time to let it flourish. I mean, McKenzie was his, I would say, we just mentioned McKenzie earlier in the show. McKenzie's probably like his best, was GM with the best draft class, I guess. But even then, like, I don't know. Look, Telesco had 11. He has some misses, but every GM has misses. Telesco was with the Chargers for how many years? 11 years. Yeah. 11 years. And I know it's a terrible example because the Chargers suck. And they've been missing the playoffs for years now. But I'm
playoffs, what, 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago.
Right.
2 years ago.
But he was able to draft some talent out over there, and but what I'm saying is that teams, it's not a perfect science, but at the end of the day, like, I think the main part of the ingredients to winning is that you're going to have a certain level of stability and consistency, and you got to have structure. And I think Mark Davis bypassed that structure because he thinks he's his pops. He talks about he doesn't know nothing about football, but then at the same time he's firing coaches. Why are you firing coaches? Why don't you let isn't the GM supposed to be doing that? Isn't there someone else that's supposed to be doing that? Like, why are you constantly doing that? That's my point. I think he's just too close. I get what you're saying. He's trying this, he's trying that. But if you're trying something, why don't you let it play out? Like, why don't you let it take care of itself? Like, what? Like,
I mean,
he last year he fired both the GM and Josh McDaniels.
I think that's everybody. I think that's what everybody wanted. I think yes, that's what everybody wanted.
But
he was praised for that.
But why
I'm the sole person. I'm the only person that said that was a bad move. If for nothing else, then how that makes you look around the league. I'm out there here on the island on that, right? I look. What did he give? How many years did he give to Gruden? He gave.
How do you give a GM less than 2 years? Less than 2 years. I can understand a coach worst case scenario because like the weird stuff be happening. We've seen it. We're Raider fans. If you watch the NFL long enough, I could understand firing a coach worst case scenario, but a GM is thinking long term. So in order for you to see if that works, you got to let it play out. You got to let. But that tells me everything I need to know.
You're preaching to the choir now.
That tells me everything I need to know. He never seen any value in Ziegler to begin with. He just seen it as a pawn to get what he wanted, and that was McDaniels. He said, "Oh, that's the guy that you get along with. Okay, we'll pair you with Ziegler." But you mentioned, if the reports are true, Dodds was a leading candidate for that job, or someone else that he probably was impressed with. But he felt like.
It's supposed to be Dodds. But I think the whole like you spoke to that already, right? Like John Gruden and Reggie McKenzie didn't have a good working relationship. And you already talked about the working relationship that John Gruden and Mike Mayock had. They didn't have a good working relationship. He gave John Gruden a 10-year contract. He wanted to just let him run the thing. He wanted to, hey, let John Gruden, you go ahead and run it. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you do what you see fit with the team. You find a GM you feel you can work with. You guys work together. You guys run the thing. I'm gonna give that to you. And we had a mixed bag of success, right? It was rough early on, but then we kind of hit our stride a little bit. But then, outside events happened, and that was the end of that. Then he came in with Josh McDaniels. He gave Josh McDaniels a 6-year contract, I believe it was. Yeah, 6 years. So you don't hire a guy and give him a 6-year contract with all the dead money, because all the coach's contract is guaranteed. It's not like a player you can get rid of him. I'm going to be paying you for a long time. So you don't do that with the intention of firing the guy, right? You don't do. So his intention was for that combination to be the combination. He saw friction between the other GM and head coach. So what did he do? He paired a GM and head coach that had worked together previously, that got along, that shared a philosophy that he thought would have some synergy there. Because once again, he saw what didn't work in the past, and he was going to do something different this time. And then ultimately, it was a lot of it had to do with the players, but also fan pressure as well. Fans pushed, they wanted that done. I'm the only person that said, don't do it. Let this play out. Don't get rid of them yet. Let it play out. They need more time. They've had one complete draft class, because the other draft class they traded for Devontae, so they didn't have a first or a second. So they had one complete draft class, one full offseason because they came in late the first offseason. Let this play out. Everybody said get rid of them. And I'm the one person that said, yo, this looks bad. This looks extremely bad because you don't even give these guys 2 full years. You fire them after a year and a half. I was saying, you need continuity. I've been the main guy preaching you need continuity. And that's why I'm saying now, you don't fire Antonio Pierce. You don't fire Tom Telesco. You let this thing play out for however many years until they've had enough time to say, yo, we've given you multiple years, multiple draft classes. This just isn't working. Right. But everybody was happy. Every Raider fans rejoiced over the firing of Josh McDaniels.
I disagree with that. I don't disagree with him firing McDaniels. I just disagree on the timing. You see what I'm saying? If he had any type of foresight, because this is what I'm talking about. Mark keeps making the wrong decision. If he look, this is how bad the decision is gonna look about AP. If he fires AP after the season, if they go to separate ways, if he fires AP, which I can see happening. As much as I say I want AP to get it, he should get a second year. I have my doubts if it's actually going to happen just because of just certain things that I'm like trying to connect to as far as the dots with Tom Brady and all that. But anyways, my point is that if AP gets fired at the end of this season, then it makes firing McDaniels in the middle season so bad, because think about if they fired him after the season. The Raiders would have lost more games. That team was going downhill. It wasn't getting better. The offense was terrible, obviously. It seemed like Josh lost the team. But what is that going to equal to? That's going to equal to more losses. More losses lead to what? Better draft position. Better draft position means that you get one of the top quarterbacks in the last draft. We see Caleb Williams, probably not Caleb Williams, who knows? But Jaden Daniels could have been a possibility. Obviously, Michael Penix would have been a guy that, you would consider. A lot of us wanted to draft at that position at number 13, but obviously didn't make it there because we weren't, we didn't have the ability to trade, or we didn't think that Atlanta was going to take Michael Penix. But my point is that the Raiders would have had a better draft spot if it wasn't for Mark Davis panicking because I had to make a change because I still feel like we should try to win. And I understand, like you mentioned that he's paying for Josh McDaniels' contract, but what's that ain't nothing to Mark. He a billionaire. It's nothing. It's still a lot of money.
83, bro. I don't care how much money you got.
It's a lot of money.
83 million.
It's a lot of money,
bro. Look,
it's a lot of money.
And
I
think he's still paying John Gruden too, if I recall.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. If he fires AP, which I can see happening. As much as I say I want AP to get it, he should get a second year. I have my doubts if it's actually going to happen just because of just certain things that I'm like trying to connect to as far as the dots with Tom Brady and all that. But anyways, my point is that if AP gets fired at the end of this season, then it makes firing McDaniels in the middle season so bad, because think about if they fired him after the season. The Raiders would have lost more games. That team was going downhill. It wasn't getting better. The offense was terrible, obviously. It seemed like Josh lost the team. But what is that going to equal to? That's going to equal to more losses. More losses lead to what? Better draft position. Better draft position means that you get one of the top quarterbacks in the last draft. We see Caleb Williams, probably not Caleb Williams, who knows? But Jaden Daniels could have been a possibility. Obviously, Michael Penix would have been a guy that, you would consider. A lot of us wanted to draft at that position at number 13, but obviously didn't make it there because we weren't, we didn't have the ability to trade, or we didn't think that Atlanta was going to take Michael Penix. But my point is that the Raiders would have had a better draft spot if it wasn't for Mark Davis panicking because I had to make a change because I still feel like we should try to win. And I understand, like you mentioned that he's paying for Josh McDaniels' contract, but what's that ain't nothing to Mark. He a billionaire. It's nothing. It's still a lot of money.
83, bro. I don't care how much money you got.
It's a lot of money.
83 million.
It's a lot of money,
bro. Look,
it's a lot of money.
And I think he's still paying John Gruden too, if I recall.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But the thing is, though, but that speaks to him making those decisions. Why are you not letting it play out? You're already paying this guy this much money. You also have to think that, like, okay, let's weigh it out. Like, okay, what happens if he continues to coach? They're gonna lose. Okay, what's gonna happen when they lose? Is he not thinking like ahead after the season? Like, this season's already lost.
But see, nobody was thinking that.
But
nobody was thinking that. That's all hindsight.
I was surprised.
All hindsight.
Were you not surprised? I was surprised when he got fired. When McDaniels got fired, I was surprised.
I was surprised, and I disagreed with it. You wanted it.
I wanted him to get fired at the end of the season. That's what I was expecting. I was like, okay, you know what? In my head, I was like, okay, he's gonna get fired at the end of the season. Cool. We gonna get a quarterback next draft. I'm good. And then AP got then we fired in the middle of the season. I'm like, oh damn, that's crazy. And then AP happened. I'm like, all right, you know what? I guess at the end of the day, we're able to find our coach. But if they fire him this year, you see what I'm saying? Like it just no rhyme, no reason. It's just hella like, what am I feeling today? I'm mad. I'm sad. I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do. Like, why don't you have any? There's no structure. He's just making.
No. Why? Because he's listening to other people. That's the problem. Sometimes you have to trust your gut. What did his gut tell him? His gut told him keep me, Josh McDaniels. When people were saying fire him, what did he say? He said smarten up. Then he let other people, including players, influence him. Right? That was fan pressure, and that was pressure from the players. Because he had lost locker room. Remember, he went to the locker room. Oh, I have. Remember, this was Pharaoh's favorite line. Like, have you ever heard of an owner going into the locker room and apologizing to the players? Have you ever heard of that? It must have been bad. Like, yeah, I'm sure it was bad. But know what?
Right.
You give it time. You let that guy build his team the way he wants to build it. And if he proves after year 3 or whatever that he's not the guy, then hey. But at least give him. You didn't even give him 2 full seasons and another. Not even 2 full off seasons. He had an off season and a half, right? Yeah. So I said let that thing play out. Let it play out, and that's the same thing. And when we hired Antonio Pierce, or when people were talking about Antonio Pierce, I'm one of the main people saying, "Yo, I don't know about Antonio Pierce, man. Like I don't know." And then I finally was won over, right? What is it? After the Chiefs game? After the Chiefs game, I was like, damn. Like, at this point, man, he got all the people chanting his name. And now all them same people that was like, oh, we got to hire Antonio Pierce. Severe, what you talking about? He's a Raider. These other guys ain't no Raider. These same people were saying fire Antonio Pierce. Like, it's insanity, bro. It's insanity.
I'm just saying the problem. Hey, look, we're gonna just end it here, man. I'm just saying the problem. I think the main issue is that he needs to hire someone that he trusts, that he respects, that knows the game, that can oversee the GM and head coaching spots on the team. So if a move needs to be made, if anything, oversee the GM, and then let the GM. I think there's a little piece of structure missing. I just feel like he's too close. I understand he's trying to win. I'm hoping that's what he's trying to do. But I know what he is successful doing right now. He's making a whole lot of money because
he paid $83 million to fire some people because they wasn't winning. Like, look,
and he's making it back by us going to the games. Like them tickets is crazy. They charge.
They're cheaper this year, though. They're cheaper this year.
Cheaper this year, but
from what I hear, I haven't been to a game in.
I bet you it's probably still the most expensive ticket in the NFL. Still probably the most expensive ticket in the NFL.
Well, because all the tickets we see online, they're second market. So it's like it's people that already bought them and they're reselling them. So that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason why they're so expensive. Because all these these companies, they buy them up quickly to resell them. So that's part of the reason. Right. But Mark Davis, he's been trying to put a stop to that as well. But I would say this: you wanted him to hire somebody that's going to make football decisions. You brought in an experienced GM, and then you wanted somebody that's going to manage those guys. The guy that's been with them throughout this whole process has been Richard Seymour, and the other guy, likely Tom Brady. So that's what you wanted. I think
he's listening to a lot of people.
That's what it is.
He's listening to a lot of people. He just needs to just focus on one person, and hopefully it's Tom Brady. I'm just hoping. We'll just leave it on that. Hopefully Tom Brady can be that voice of reason in the building, where we finally have some level of structure. And we're not going to wake up one morning and hear that Mark didn't like the coach and he just fired him, or saying some crazy stuff like that. But anyways, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Man, the time is flying by. We're going to go ahead and just jump right into game picks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's get into to game picks, y'all. Man, hey, look, man, it's week 10 game picks. So we pick the games for this weekend, and before we even get into this week's game picks, let's see here. Hey, man, Let's look at the week 9 results. The week 9 results real quick. Week 9 results. And it looks like let me move this right here. All right. Hey man, I did my thing last weekend. Slowly but surely. Went 10-3. We got Mike coming in second. He went I believe 9-4.
9-4, yep.
9-4. Oh, hold on, let me see.
10-34. That's your year record.
Hey. Damn, clowning, man. And then all right, we got Severe. Hold on, let me see. We get Severe here. Let's get Severe. Severe came in third this week, but hey, Mr. Consistent. He went 8-5. Let's see. 8-5, Mr. Consistent. So hey, so look, hey man, pretty solid weekend for everybody. Obviously, I had to do my thing, you know what I mean? But let's take a look at the season total now. Let's take a look at the season total real quick. How do you think the season total is going to look like? You think you're still going to be leading?
Oh yeah, man. I'm pretty sure I'm leading. Like when we doing the picks, I do the math, so I know like how many games I'm ahead, and I know based on how many picks we pick together, or pick the same, if you guys will be able to overtake me that week or not. So last week, nobody would have been able to overtake me because there wasn't enough difference in the games.
All right, so season game picks record, Mike right now is at 44-24. Obviously myself 41-27, and Severe, man, 47-21. Man, we're still behind, but hey, we're in striking distance.
Yeah, especially
we're in striking distance, man. Hey, bro, we got some 8 games left, eight weekends left of football. So,
facts.
So hey, look, I'm telling you, man. Better not slip up. I'm gonna let you know. I'm not gonna get a fitted cap. I like my A-frame snapbacks. I'm talking trash. I'm still not leading right now. So, but
you did. You the Raiders smoking cigars after a win right now. You got
where my cigar?
You 2-7. You just won your second game.
I'm telling you, hey man, I'm about to come back. I'm about to come back. All right. But let's get into the game picks this week, man. Let's get into the game picks this week. Let's see. All right, let's go. All right, so first game.
Disgusting.
We got a great matchup. Giants Panthers. This is actually going to be in Europe, I believe. This is going to be it's going to be in Germany. This is going to be a overseas game.
Interesting. That's disgusting, man.
So let me go start with Mike real quick. He sent over his game picks. So let's take a look here. See what Mike had to say on his game picks. Believe Mike picked he picked Carolina. Interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I thought we all made a pact.
Well, I think I just said it. I said out loud, I'm not picking the Panthers, so you already know. I'm going Giants.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Dang. Bryce Young. Man, I'm gonna go Giants, man. Bryce Young, Daniel Jones. I'm gonna go Giants. Malik Neighbors, Tyrone Tracy, Dexter Lawrence.
Okay. Hey man, it can go either way. I can't stick to my I'm not picking the Panthers again this season. Panthers, Bears. Who you got?
Patriots, Bears. I got the Bears.
I mean, Patriots, Bears. My bad.
I got the Bears. They're at home. And despite everything, I still think they have the better team. Defense is still good. Drake May's been turning the ball over a whole lot, so I got Bears.
All right, I also got Bears as well. Not 100% sure with the Patriots. Look, they're 2-7 for a reason. I think the Bears are going to bounce back. I think they had a tough game last week against the Cardinals. They're back at home. Even though it's kind of interesting to see how DJ Moore's relationship with Caleb Williams this season. So we'll see. But I got the Bears over the Patriots. And I think Mike agrees too.
Yeah.
All right, so next game, we're going to Bills-Colts. What you got?
Bills. Come on. Yeah, I got the Bills. I mean, either the Bills have been struggling a little bit, man, and they don't really have a whole lot of weapons on the outside. But Josh Allen is Josh Allen.
Okay, I'm going Bills as well, man. Joe Flacco. Raiders could have had him at quarterback, and I think it would have been better for the Raiders this season. If you think about it.
I mean, would it have been better? I mean, short term, yes, but long term,
True. So maybe Minshew is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Minshew and AOC, thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Nah, facts. Desmond Ridder, you next, brother.
Mike also picked the Bills this week. Let's go ahead and go to the next game, and that's Vikings and Jaguars. Who you got?
Go the Vikings. I'm tempted to pick the Jaguars though. If for nothing else, I want the Jaguars to win, so we'll move ahead of them in draft order. But yeah, the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm going Vikings, man. I think Jaguars. I don't know if I want to call them a huge disappointment, but I didn't think they were going to be this bad this season. I think Vikings have been the surprise team this year. I think they're just a better team overall, better coach team, better almost everything. Even the quarterback play has been better. To be honest with you, like everything's been better than the Jaguars. So I'm taking Vikings, and let's see what Mike has to say. He has drum roll.
Yeah, the Vikings. He ain't crazy.
Yeah, he got the Vikings.
He ain't crazy.
All right, next game we got Broncos and Chiefs, man. AFC West divisional game. Hated rivals. Raider rivals. Who you got? Ooh,
I got the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs. But this is one of those games where do I really think the Chiefs are going to go 9-0? That's what makes it tough. I mean, it's tough to go that long without losing the game. They ain't lost since Christmas of last year, but I got the Chiefs, man. I don't trust Bo Nix. You got Steve Spagnuolo against a rookie quarterback. Yeah, I'm going Chiefs.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too as well, but then it's in Kansas City, it's at home. Yeah, man. I can't. Like you said, man. The Chiefs have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they've been a big reason why the Chiefs have been 9-0 or 8-0 so far, soon to be 9-0. I got the Chiefs, and I think Mike. Did Mike do it? Did he pick an upset here? Yes, he did, bro. He picked the Broncos.
Oh wow! Yeah, it's a probability thing. Like, what's the probability of a team going 9-0, even if they're playing a lesser opponent? You know, the probability says they don't, but it's Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. The NFL gonna find a way to win on that game.
Right.
The NFL's gonna find a way to win them that game. So I mean, and they've been in close games, man. These haven't been dominant victories, and you know that's the sign of a of a good team because like when stuff tightens up during the playoffs, they're not going to be scared of those situations. That they've been in these tight, close games all year long, and they have the ultimate faith in Patrick Mahomes. So it's tough to go against them.
Yeah. So we got Falcons and Saints. Who you got?
And I'm tempted to pick. It's a divisional game. I'm tempted to pick the Saints because of the interim boost, but the Falcons are just a better team, man. I'm worried about Drake London being hurt too. I think Drake London, I think he hurt his hip or something like that. But the Falcons are just a better team.
Yeah, better team. I'm taking Falcons. Better quarterback for all you Derek Carr lovers.
Yeah, man, Derek Carr out there throwing. We're talking about hospital balls. People love to talk about hospital balls. Ask Mike Thomas what he thinks about Derek Carr. Fastest. He'll give you his honest answer.
Yeah, and Mike also picked the Falcons as well. Yeah, man, this better team, better. It's a divisional game, but they just fired Dennis Allen. The team is downhill from this point on. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they win because they're 2-7 right now. They're tied with the Raiders, so I hope they win this game.
And they definitely drafting a quarterback. Definitely drafting a quarterback early, unless because it's going to be a new regime.
Yeah, I can see that happening too. Man, 49ers, Buccaneers. Who you got?
This is a tough one because Baker's been cooking, bro.
Yeah, man,
been cooking.
Yep.
But I think the 49ers are finally starting to get healthy. I think Christian McCaffrey's making his season debut this game. I think I'm about to say Diablo, but I think Debo Samuel is back as well. Now I think with Chris Godwin, we know Chris Godwin is hurt. And I think Bucky Irving is hurt as well for the Buccaneers. So I'm going with the 49ers.
Okay. 49ers. This is tough, but man, I think the injuries to receivers is going to catch up to the Bucs at some point, right?
Yeah, got to.
I'm going 49ers.
I think Jalen McMillan is hurt too, if I recall.
Yeah. And let me see, Mike. Does he agree? He picked the Bucs.
This could be, man. If Mike is right, this is gonna be the week he overtakes me.
Who you got? Steelers, Commanders.
This is one that tugs at my heartstrings because I want to pick the Commanders because y'all know Jaden Daniels is my guy, but I also want to pick the Steelers because I told all y'all Justin Fields was trash. Man. The Steelers coming off a bye week 2. Mike Tomlin 2 weeks to plan for a rookie quarterback. I'm gonna go Steelers.
Man, you taking my upset pick right here. I mean, it's not an upset. It's a good game. 6-2, 7-2 teams, but this is a road game for the Steelers. Right? So yeah, I'm going with the Steelers, man. I think they might be They look like a good team with Russell Wilson at quarterback. It seems like the receivers are celebrating a little bit more. I think who's old boy, the receiver,
George Pickens,
who snitched, who basically said that Russell Wilson was the starting quarterback before when he was not supposed to. It seemed like
George Pickens.
Yeah, George Pickens is a little bit more involved. Their run game is probably one of the best in the NFL. Or you could argue probably one of the most physical, and that's the type of random football the Steelers like to play. Arthur Smith, he's known to be that type of OC, where he's able to establish a run game, play action, all something that Russell Wilson's familiar playing with. And hey, man, I'm not saying Russell Wilson has been perfect since he's been back, but man, he threw a couple of dimes last game. I think. It was a throw down the sideline. It was just perfect ball placement. I got the Steelers.
Yeah. And then, but one thing for the Commanders, though, just a reminder. First of all, a reminder that I told y'all Emmanuel Forbes was trash 2 years ago. But the Commanders just traded for Marshawn Lattimore.
Hey, we all agree. Mike also is with the Steelers too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all on the same page. So we got Jets and Cardinals.
We got Titans Chargers.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, Titans Chargers. Didn't they? I feel like damn, they didn't. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, Titans Chargers. Who you got?
Chargers. This game is trash.
Yeah.
But Titans ain't it.
You know what? I'm gonna pick the Chargers, but like I hope the Titans win. To be honest with you.
Yeah, for the draft position. Man, that's what's tough.
It is what it is, man. It's a lot of bad teams, man. A lot of bad teams.
Yeah.
Yep, Mike's in agreement. He's going Chargers. All right, now we're Jets and Cardinals. Who you got?
That's a tough one, Max. Every time I play against the Cardinals, these motherfuckers win. It pisses me off.
Yeah, they won last week.
They win every time I pick against them, but
I picked the Bears last week too.
Oh man, I am. Man, I think the Jets might have. I just don't want to pick the Jets. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals. I just don't want to pick the Jets, bro. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals.
Cardinals. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cardinals. I think the Jets might win, but I can't pick the Jets, bro. I cannot pick the Jets.
Yeah, this one's tough for me. You know what? I'm gonna go Jets. I'm hoping the Jets get to the AFC Championship game so we get that second round pick.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm betting, but it's not gonna happen. Let alone Adams get All Pro.
Exactly.
That's not gonna happen at all. Yeah.
At all.
Unless he averages 200 yards a game until the end of the season, then maybe might be a chance. And I think we got Mike is picking the Jets.
Man. Mike's picking a lot of like, unique game. Like he can overtake me this week. He can overtake me this week if he's right.
Pause.
That's hilarious.
Eagles, Cowboys. Who you got?
Eagles. Cowboys just like this. Lost Dak Prescott too. The Eagles. Eagles about to put a foot. They about to put all kind of hands on the Cowboys.
Oh man, but it is the divisional game.
It's Cooper Rush time.
Damn, man. I don't think I've picked the upset game yet. Maybe.
I mean, depending on how you feel about the Jets.
Yeah, you're right. That's a game that can go either way. Like I can see the Cardinals win that game too. Yeah, I'm going to Eagles. Okay. But I could see this just hella randomly. These divisional games people will be thinking even when it's like one team has a better record than the other, it's still like it can go either way because teams know each other well. They're motivated. They want to play hard. They want to have something to prove. They hate each other to a certain extent. I guess I don't know if y'all want to feed into that, but it's a divisional game. So you said the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
Let me see what Mike, let's see. Mike also picked the Eagles. I don't know. I just had a weird feeling that the Cowboys might win this week. Because they've just been going through it. Like everything is going, like it's like the sky is falling and it's a divisional game.
I feel what you're saying.
This happens every like week. Like there's always games like this. So we got Lions and Texans. Whew, this is a heavy hitter matchup right here. But this is in Houston.
Man,
this is tough.
That is tough. Man, that is tough. You know what? Hate to pick against the Lions, but this maybe a little bit of an upset. I'm gonna go with the Texans. I'm gonna go a little bit of an upset here. Texans. I think Nico Collins is back as well. So that gives him another weapon.
Okay. I'm gonna go Lions, bro. Lions might be the best team in football.
Yeah, facts. Nah, you ain't lying.
You got Texas.
No pun intended.
Mm-hmm. And I think Mike went Texans.
Okay. Yeah, at home. I mean, yeah.
We got an all-star matchup, Dolphins, Rams, Monday Night Football. What you got?
Man, Tua is back. The Rams looked pretty good last week though against the Seahawks, man. Damn. I'm gonna go Rams.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Rams too. Let's see. Two is one hit away, bro. It's just one hit away. I cannot put my money on that, man.
This is Full Pharaoh's jinxing Tua.
I mean, it's crazy that he's playing, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
I get it. He's getting paid millions. I'm sure he loves the game.
Yeah,
that's what they want to do, but it's just a crazy situation overall. Damn, did Rams?
I think he sent 2 messages.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
I think so, yeah.
Got you. Yeah, he did. He also picked the Rams. All right. Okay. All right, man. We'll see, man. We'll be back here next Friday to break down, these game picks real quick. But hey, look, Severe. Right
either I extended my lead or Mike done caught up. Because he took some bold picks.
Hey, man. Shots fired real quick. Hey, man. Look. I'm just saying. Hold up. Let me see.
I think me and you too similar.
Yeah, you know what? That's because he picked a lot of upsets.
I said me and you are too similar, so you wouldn't be able to catch me. Mike, he picked like 5. I think we picked 5 differences. So if he's right on those and I'm wrong, he can take the lead. And they were calculated risks, man. It's not like it's not bad upsets he picked.
I'm gonna chip at that lead though. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, I'm trying to look at some of the upsets. I think the upset that I had was the Lions on the road against, just based off what we picked. You guys both picked the Texans. I picked the Lions.
Yeah, I think the Lions are probably favored in that game, but yeah, I'm just going. I think the Lions coming off a short week too, aren't they?
Are they? Are they coming off a short week? Did they play Monday Night Football?
I thought they did. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought they played Monday night.
They played Monday Night Football. You might be right. You're upset based off us picking differently is Cardinals. We picked the Jets. Mike has a couple of upset. Like if he has the Bucks beating the 49ers. He has the Broncos beating the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Some interesting games, man. Hey, let us know in the chat, man. I know y'all following along, man, picking the games. Make sure to clock in At this point, clock out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You're going to see this on all of our YouTube channels, wherever you guys watching. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, man. And we appreciate everybody coming through. It's been a great show. Hey, we'll be back here next week, like I said, to talk trash about these game picks. Raiders are on a bye week. Hopefully they get healthy. We see a better brand of football, but the job is not done. We need to lose every game this season until we get that number one pick. I don't care what anybody thinks. I am tired of losing, but sometimes you got to play chess, not checkers, man. We need that. We need that number one pick, man. But Severe, let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
Y'all know what it is, man. It's Severe Raider on YouTube, on IG, on Snapchat, on TikTok, on X. Look out for us every Tuesday night, the 50-50 show. Every Friday night around the Shield. I'm also going live with my boy Chris from Protect the Shield and 805 Raider Tuesdays as well. And make sure y'all hit that like button and make sure y'all sub on the way out. Also make sure you guys check out Around the Shield on IG. For all your latest and greatest in Raider news. And you might like the A-frame, but I'm rocking that 7 3/8. Rocking that 7 3/8.
Yeah, hey man, this dude's hilarious. All right, hey, you got the lead right now, man. Look, I'm gonna slowly but surely chip away at this lead, man. I'm gonna come back.
No, got it. I'm talking. I'll be quiet until I.
Oh man, God. Anyways, hey, look, we are gonna be back next Tuesday, 50-50 show. Every Tuesday evenings, nights, man. Me and Severe do a show called the 50-50 show. Make sure to check it out. Dope show. We're gonna get into what's going on, the latest and greatest with the Raiders, especially going into coming off that bye. We'll have some special guests. Make sure to tune in, all that good stuff. As well as, Around the Shield every Friday. Sometimes it's a live show, but you got to hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we drop new content, as well as lives too. That helps you get notified when we drop lives. Yeah, man. And like Severe was saying, Around the Shield all over social media, mostly X and IG. X and IG for the latest and greatest as far as updates with the team, memes on IG, you name it, we got it. Clips of the show, all that good stuff. I know some people like those clips. We have that on the channel as well. And yeah, man, just make sure to tune in and give us a follow down over there, and you'll be updated on social media. And yeah, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. It's been a great show. Hopefully, I believe Mike will be back next week. For everybody wondering, he'll be back soon. So just make sure to tune in. Any last thoughts, Severe, before we head out?
Nah, man. Yeah, it's like you said. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub, man. It goes a long way. You guys have no idea how much hitting that sub and that like will go toward helping us as a show and helping this community grow. So yeah, man. It only takes a second to do it.
Oh yeah, and one last thing I forgot to plug this, man. The 50-50 shop, man. Make sure to get your latest gear, hoodies, shirts, you name it, we got it. Go over there, 50-50 shop, Raiders gear, 50-50 gear, all that good stuff, man. We appreciate the support. Another way to support the show, the channel, all that good stuff is by going to the 50-50 shop and getting something to keep you warm, man. It's getting chilly, man. I'm out here in Northern California, man. It's getting a little chilly. Let's slow you but surely. I know. Like I don't even want to say the temperatures because some of y'all live in like really cold places. Y'all might laugh at me and think I'm soft, but it is what it is. I'm just used to the area. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, when you get used to the area, sometimes it is what it is. But like I said, appreciate everybody coming through. We'll see y'all next Tuesday, yes, and also next week Around the Shield.
Make sure you comment.
Yeah, don't forget to comment. Yeah, leave a comment. Hey, and you might be, you never know, you might be featured on Around the Nation when we talk about your comment, because some of y'all leave some good comments, and we want to make sure we incorporate y'all to the show. So appreciate y'all coming through.
And you know what? We might do something. We might maybe me and Tafera talk offline, but we promote the 50-50 shop. Maybe it might be somebody winning something.
I like that.
Comment.
I like that. I like that. We might have to talk offline about that, but for sure. Hey, that sounds like a good idea. Let us know. Let us know in the comments in the chat, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. We'll be back here next week. Peace.
Just win, baby. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.